You already know this truth, though you've tried to ignore it. Your life will never rise higher than the beliefs you hold about yourself. Every opportunity you missed, every chance you hesitated on, every dream you abandoned, each one was lost long before the moment arrived. It was lost in your mind. If you do not remove those limiting beliefs, nothing else you try will matter. Not new habits, not new goals, not new strategies. A man cannot build a palace on a foundation that crumbles under its own doubt. And your foundation, your subconscious, is still carrying beliefs you never chose but have lived by for years. That is why these 3 hours matter more than you realize. Not because they inspire you, but because they rewrite you. Because while you sleep, your conscious objections fade, your doubts grow silent, and your deepest beliefs become open to reconstruction. Let me speak plainly. If you skip these hours tonight, you will wake tomorrow as the same man who has carried the same limitations for far too long. If you listen, if you allow these words to reach the inner chamber of your being, you will begin the transformation most men chase their entire lives and never secure. Consider how many chances your limiting beliefs have already stolen from you. The job you convinced yourself you weren't ready for. The relationship you thought you weren't worthy of. The business you told yourself you couldn't build. The goals you shrank because your mind whispered, "Not for you." Every part of your life has been touched by beliefs formed long before you understood their power. Beliefs created by fear, by failure, by criticism, by doubt. Beliefs built from moments you no longer remember, but still obey. Tonight, you break that obedience. Think of the hours you've wasted trying to think positive, while your subconscious repeated the same old story beneath your efforts. That is why your progress has been so painfully slow. Your conscious desires and your inner identity have been at war with each other. But as these 3 hours enter your sleeping mind, the war ends. The subconscious does not argue. It does not resist. It absorbs. And once it absorbs a new belief, it begins reorganizing your entire life to match it. Most men never give themselves this chance. They try to change in the daylight while their nights undo all their progress. They try to motivate themselves while their inner voice calls them small, incapable, undeserving. They try to rise while carrying weights they cannot see. You are about to release those weights. Let me offer you a question, one you cannot escape. How many more opportunities are you willing to lose because of a belief that never belonged to you? How many more years will you let fear disguise itself as caution? How many dreams will you bury under the excuse of someday? Tonight is the first night that someday dies, but understand this is not entertainment. These are not comforting words. These are commands written for your subconscious, the only part of you capable of creating lasting change. When these beliefs change, your habits change. When your habits change, your results change. When your results change, your destiny changes. 3 hours, that is all. 3 hours to begin dismantling the walls you did not build, but have lived behind. 3 hours to replace the beliefs that have dictated your confidence, your income, your relationships, your decisions. 3 hours to begin shaping a mind capable of supporting the life you desire. And consider this carefully. There are people in your life who would not recognize the version of you that will emerge once these limiting beliefs are removed. Some will doubt you, some will fear your growth, some will cling to the old version of you because it made them comfortable. Do not shrink for them. You are not listening tonight to reassure the world. You are listening to reclaim yourself. Picture waking tomorrow with a mind that does not argue with your goals, a mind that does not sabotage your efforts, a mind that encourages you instead of restraining you, a mind that sees opportunity where it used to see danger, a mind that believes in your future as strongly as your fears once believed in your failure. That is the power of removing limiting beliefs at their source. But this requires your full obedience. Listen while you sleep. Let the repetition wash over you. Let the words settle deeply. Let the old identity dissolve without ceremony. Let the new identity form without resistance. And if you allow it, these 3 hours will do more for you than the last 3 years of trying to change yourself through willpower alone. For once your subconscious believes you can rise, you will rise. Once it believes you deserve more, you will accept more. Once it believes you are meant for greatness, you will pursue greatness without apology. This is your chance. Do not waste it. Lie down. Let the day fall away. Let these words reach the place where your fears once ruled. Let your subconscious receive the truth it has been denied for too long. For when these beliefs change, your entire life will follow. Every man carries within him a story told by his subconscious, a tale formed not from reason, but from repetition. It began in childhood when words of limitation fell upon the open soil of his mind like careless seeds. Over years, those seeds sprouted into weeds of fear and doubt, covering the garden where his dreams once grew freely. You cannot tear out these weeds by force. The more fiercely you resist a thought, the deeper it anchors itself in emotion. Fear cannot be destroyed by struggle. It can only be displaced by faith. Darkness cannot be chased away. It must be replaced by light. This is the law of mental substitution. All transformation occurs through replacement, not rejection. The subconscious accepts every idea you repeat with feeling, whether it blesses or harms. It does not argue. It does not reason. It grows whatever is planted. If you allow old images of failure to remain, they will produce their kind endlessly. The only cure is substitution, to give the mind a new picture so vivid, so constant, that the old one fades from lack of attention. Thomas Edison mastered this law, though he may never have named it. He met thousands of failures in his experiments, yet not once did he entertain the thought of defeat. When a filament broke, he did not say, "I have failed again." He said, "I have found one more way that will not work." He replaced doubt with curiosity, error with discovery. Each thought substituted power for weakness until his mind could no longer conceive failure. Every man can do the same, but he must practice nightly substitution. For the mind, before sleep, stands between two worlds, the world of conscious choice and the world of subconscious obedience. In that silent passage, the last thought you hold becomes command. If you drift to sleep rehearsing fear, the subconscious takes fear as your instruction. If you rest with faith, it will build in that image. Therefore, before closing your eyes, review the thoughts of your day. Where you said, "I am not enough," replace it with, "I am capable and prepared." Where you thought, "It never works for me," replace it with, "Everything moves for me." Where you felt, "I fear loss," replace it with, "I am surrounded by gain." Each substitution is a stroke of the sculptor's chisel upon the stone of your being. Andrew Carnegie rose by this very principle. As a poor telegraph boy, he heard men speak of power, wealth, and influence. Most youths in his position would have whispered, "That life is not for me." But Carnegie substituted the thought. He said instead, "That life is possible for me." He rehearsed the picture of command, saw himself directing others, handling responsibility, and serving with intelligence. His mind accepted the image long before his hands could grasp it, and when opportunity arrived, he fit it perfectly. The law is exact. Whatever image the mind dwells upon with feeling becomes form. The subconscious is a servant of pictures, not of words. You may speak faith 1,000 times a day, but if you feel fear, fear will rule. The picture you hold determines the harvest you reap. Replace the picture, and the harvest changes. Repetition is the method by which new beliefs take root. The old ideas have been fed by years of attention. They will not vanish after a single command. You must persist until the new belief grows stronger than the old. Say each night, "Every thought I plant grows in my favor." Speak it slowly, with feeling, until the emotion behind the words outweighs the emotion of the fear it replaces. At first, your old thoughts will fight for life. They will whisper, "This is foolish." They will return as habit returns, but habit dies from neglect. Feed only the new picture, and the old will wither from starvation. The subconscious cannot hold two conflicting truths. It will accept the one you feed most. Do not expect immediate peace. The soil must first be turned before new seed takes hold. When the mind feels unsettled, rejoice. It means the old roots are breaking. Continue your nightly substitution until faith feels natural and doubt feels foreign. Observe how others respond to you as you practice this law. They will notice changes before you do. Your speech will gain firmness. Your posture will straighten. Your eyes will lose uncertainty. People will feel confidence in your presence without knowing why. They will say, "He is different. He carries certainty." That certainty is the echo of a mind unified with its new belief. Remember that substitution requires emotion. Dry repetition is like planting seeds on stone. Feel what you say. When you declare, "I replace fear with faith," imagine fear as a shadow retreating before sunrise. When you affirm, "Old beliefs dissolve, new power takes their place," see yourself walking into light while old chains fall from your hands. The subconscious responds to feeling as the earth responds to water. It awakens dormant life. To strengthen your practice, write your new beliefs upon paper. The act of writing impresses them upon deeper levels of mind. Read them before sleep, not as wish, but as command. Say, "This is my law." The subconscious hears certainty as authority. It obeys without delay. A man who understands substitution saves decades. The common man spends his life wrestling with fear, calling it caution, calling it reason, never realizing he could replace it entirely. He speaks of past injuries as though they were unchangeable truths, never seeing that each memory can be rewritten by thought. You cannot erase the past, but you can replace its meaning. Every failure can be substituted with instruction, every loss with gratitude. Practice this during quiet hours. When an old memory arises, do not resist it. Thank it for the lesson it brought, then give it a new form. Say, "That experience taught me strength." The subconscious will refile the memory under success instead of shame. In time, your entire history becomes a source of power, not pain. The mind is a factory. If you leave it unattended, it will produce random goods from whatever material lies about: fear, gossip, limitation. But when you manage it through substitution, it becomes a precision instrument. Every product bears the stamp of quality. The raw materials of thought are endless. You need only choose what to manufacture. When discouragement visits, remember that substitution is law, not chance. Just as darkness yields instantly to light, fear yields to faith the moment you focus upon its opposite. Do not argue with weakness. Introduce strength. Do not dwell on poverty. Imagine wealth. Do not curse sickness. Picture health. The universe does not understand complaint. It understands creation. Let these nightly commands guide you. I replace fear with faith. Every thought I plant grows in my favor. Old beliefs dissolve, new power takes their place. Repeat until emotion answers. Then rest, knowing the unseen work has begun. The subconscious will labor through the night, rearranging connections, rewriting associations, clearing debris of limitation. You will wake with subtle changes: lighter heart, clearer thought, quieter confidence. These are signs that substitution has taken hold. Be patient, for nature moves with steady perfection. The seed does not sprout by shouting at the soil. It grows because law governs growth. Your faith, consistently repeated, is that law. In time, you will no longer need to replace fear, for fear will not arise. The subconscious, fully re-educated, will reject it automatically. Doubt will pass through your mind like wind through open space, leaving no trace. That is mastery, not struggle, but ease. And when others marvel at your calm, you will know the secret, that the mind becomes whatever it habitually repeats. You will have ceased to wrestle with shadows and begun to build with light. The law of mental substitution is the cornerstone of all inner mastery. Apply it nightly, faithfully, gratefully, and you will witness what most men never experience, a life no longer ruled by the past, but shaped by chosen belief. You will see progress where others see confusion, opportunity where others see loss, confidence where others see fear. And you will save more than time. You will save your destiny from decay. For the man who learns to replace limitation with faith has rewritten the script of his life. He has taken command of the unseen engine that drives all achievement. His thoughts move law. His faith moves mountains. His future obeys his inner command. This is the power you hold tonight. Use it with reverence, with persistence, and with joy. And when you lay your head upon the pillow, remember this final instruction. Do not fight the darkness. Light the lamp, for the lamp is already in your hand, and the light it casts will lead you home. Every man lives within an invisible courtroom of his own making. Each day he stands trial before his own mind, accused or defended by the thoughts he entertains. The subconscious, like a perfect stenographer, records every word of this trial. It writes down each statement, each judgment, each whispered declaration of ability or defeat, and from these records, it builds the verdict of one's life. You may think that fate decides your future, or that opportunity does. But it is not so. It is the testimony you give to your subconscious that shapes every circumstance that follows. The subconscious accepts your words as law, whether they arise from truth or from fear. It does not weigh evidence, it obeys conviction. Whatever you declare most often becomes the decree of your destiny. This is the law of inner testimony. Every repeated statement about yourself becomes a witness shaping your reality. Each "I can't," "I'm not ready," or "I don't deserve" is a sworn declaration before the unseen judge of infinite intelligence. The world outside cannot contradict what you persist in affirming within. You may change surroundings, professions, or partners, but if your testimony remains the same, the outcome will repeat itself. To change life, therefore, one must change the testimony. The subconscious is the perfect servant, but it follows the last order given. If you tell it you are weak, it will find evidence to confirm weakness. If you tell it you are capable, it will begin arranging proofs of strength. The law is exact. Belief precedes evidence, not the other way around. Every man must decide which role he plays in the court of his own mind, accuser or defender. The accuser repeats his faults, his misfortunes, his failures until he convinces the subconscious of guilt. The defender repeats his power, his purpose, his faith until he convinces the subconscious of destiny. The world merely enacts the verdict already passed in secret. Consider Henry Ford. Every expert in his day testified against his vision. They called his dream impractical, his plan impossible. But Ford's inner voice gave contrary testimony. In the silence of his mind, he declared, "It shall be done." His subconscious made their verdict powerless. It accepted his conviction as the only authority. He built an empire not by argument, but by silent persistence in self-declaration. Abraham Lincoln lived by the same law. He was ridiculed, defeated, and criticized, yet his inner testimony never wavered. He said, "The cause is right, therefore it must prevail." That inner sentence became the ruling of his subconscious, and it organized the outer world to match it. When doubt stormed around him, he retreated into quiet certainty. His testimony, not the clamor of his critics, became the final word. Understand this clearly. The subconscious is a mirror. It reflects only what you hold before it. If you speak of limitation, it echoes limitation. If you speak of expansion, it multiplies opportunity. A man cannot continually testify against himself and expect freedom. Self-condemnation is the chain that binds him to mediocrity. Each night, as you prepare for rest, you stand before the invisible judge of destiny. The last words you speak to yourself become the closing statement of the day's trial. If those words are defeat, the subconscious records them as final truth. If they are victory, the same law applies. Speak, therefore, with purpose, as if addressing infinite intelligence directly. Practice night declarations. Speak aloud, slowly, and with authority. I am destined for great accomplishment. I am loyal to success. I command confidence, opportunity, and faith. Do not whisper these words timidly. Speak as one announcing a law already in motion. The subconscious recognizes tone more than phrase. It obeys the conviction behind the sound. At first, you may feel insincere. You may think, but this is not true yet. That thought betrays misunderstanding. The subconscious accepts no yet. To it, all is now. Declare the desired state as present, and it becomes instruction. Declare it as future, and it remains forever out of reach. The man who says, I will be strong, keeps strength waiting at a distance. The man who says, I am strong, draws strength immediately. There is no trick here, no deception. It is obedience to law. The subconscious does not distinguish between fact and faith. It follows feeling. The more emotion you attach to your testimony, the faster it takes root. Speak your declaration with warmth, gratitude, and certainty, and the subconscious will begin to rearrange your body, your habits, and your surroundings to agree with it. Words shape the nervous system. They influence breath, pulse, and expression. A man who declares, I am confident, straightens his posture unconsciously. A man who says, I am afraid, contracts his very muscles. The body follows the verdict of the mind. The subconscious, through the body, projects that verdict into the world, and the world responds accordingly. Observe the difference between two men. One says, I cannot afford it, and the other says, I am finding the means. The first mind commands limitation. The second commands resourcefulness. The subconscious of the first begins closing doors, reducing ideas, shrinking perception. The subconscious of the second opens channels of thought, draws solutions, attracts helpers. The same world surrounds them both, yet they live in different universes because they testify differently. You may wonder, what if I have given false testimony for years? The answer is simple. Begin new testimony tonight. The subconscious is not vindictive. It does not hold grudges. It is always ready to rewrite its record the moment you present new evidence. The past matters only as long as you repeat it. The moment you cease declaring your limitation, the law begins erasing its effect. Do not wait for perfect faith before you begin. Speak the new truth even if you tremble. Repetition builds conviction. The first 100 declarations may feel hollow. The 101st will be filled with fire. The subconscious learns by insistence. What the conscious mind repeats, the subconscious eventually accepts. A salesman once doubled his income by practicing this law. Each night he read a self-confidence creed aloud until his voice filled with emotion. He declared, I believe in my ability to influence men honorably. I deserve success because I render more value than I receive. At first, he felt like an actor, but repetition transformed pretense into belief. His subconscious began expecting success, and opportunity followed expectation. This is not magic, it is precision. The subconscious arranges reality to fit its strongest blueprint. When that blueprint says, I am unworthy, events arise to confirm unworthiness. When it says, I am capable, opportunities appear to prove capability. The law never fails. It only obeys. Each morning, the same trial begins anew. Before you rise, listen for the first thought that greets you. That thought is often the echo of the previous night's declaration. If it says, today will be difficult, recognize it as yesterday's order still in effect. Replace it at once. Say, today flows with ease and purpose. Speak it before the body moves. The subconscious, still half in the world of sleep, will seize the command eagerly. Understand that the world reads your inner verdict long before you speak it aloud. People respond to what you believe, not what you claim. The man who secretly doubts himself cannot disguise it with words. His tone betrays him, his posture confesses, his eyes whisper uncertainty. But the man who has settled his worth within needs no display. Confidence radiates without effort. This quiet power draws cooperation. Men of business feel safe in his presence. Strangers sense his integrity. Opportunities appear as if magnetized by his calm assurance. This is the outward reward of true inner testimony. No external criticism can defeat the man who has made his own verdict final. Let others accuse, mock, or doubt. It matters not. Their words strike against the armor of self-conviction and fall harmless. The subconscious, loyal to its master, repeats the internal truth until the external world must yield to it. There's a story of a young inventor who presented his device to a group of wealthy investors. They laughed at him, calling it absurd. That night, he reviewed their ridicule in his mind, and he faced a choice, to accept their judgment or to write his own. He chose the latter. He said aloud, "They do not see what I see, but the law sees it. Therefore it shall come to pass." Within a year, the same men sought partnership with him. His testimony, not theirs, became fact. The law cannot fail because it operates through belief. Whatever you declare often enough becomes your identity, and identity governs destiny. You can never consistently act against what you believe yourself to be. Therefore, if you wish to rise, you must first declare yourself risen. Speak as the man you intend to become until the subconscious forgets the lesser self entirely. Each declaration carves a channel in thought. The more you affirm strength, the more easily strength flows. In time, it becomes reflex. When challenge appears, faith responds automatically. That is mastery. Not the absence of difficulty, but the automatic presence of courage. Practice gratitude as part of testimony. Say each night, "I thank infinite intelligence for the progress of this day. I thank my subconscious for faithful service. I thank life for its abundance." Gratitude seals conviction. It tells the subconscious that the desired result already exists. Faith with gratitude becomes certainty. Avoid idle words. Every complaint is testimony for limitation. Every self-deprecating jest is a command to the subconscious. Do not mock yourself. The law has no sense of humor. If you say, "I am always unlucky," it obeys literally. Train your tongue to speak only what you wish multiplied. Speech is seed. Plant wisely. When you fail, and you will at times make failure serve the law. Say, "This event refines my wisdom." Never say, "I failed again." Replace each negative verdict with a constructive one. The subconscious will then extract power from defeat rather than despair. The secret of all transformation lies in repetition with emotion. The subconscious is impressed only by what is felt as true. The more vivid your declaration, the faster the change. Say, "I am worthy," while picturing success, hearing applause, feeling satisfaction. The senses make the belief real. Some will call this self-deception. Let them. They deceive themselves by accepting weakness as truth. You, by affirming strength, deceive limitation into retreat. The only illusion is fear. Faith is reality. Over time, you will notice an inner quiet replacing struggle. Old thoughts of doubt will fade, not by argument, but by neglect. The subconscious cannot serve two masters. Once it accepts your higher testimony, it forgets the lesser entirely. As months pass, your results will confirm your declarations. Success will not arrive as sudden miracle, but as steady unfolding. You will meet the right people at the right time. Circumstances will align without strain. Others will call it luck. You will know it as law. Let these nightly affirmations guide you. My words are law to my subconscious. I testify daily to my worth and ability. I accept no sentence but success. Speak them as if addressing the infinite court of creation. Speak them with conviction, and they will become reality. For law never fails to obey the voice of definite belief. In time, the very tone of your speech will carry authority. Others will listen more attentively, not knowing why. They will feel the resonance of certainty in your words. Your presence will quiet rooms, not through force, but through assurance. Such is the influence of a man whose inner testimony has become truth. The day will come when you no longer need to repeat declarations consciously. They will have become the natural language of your thought. Self-belief will be your default, not your effort. At that moment, you will understand that faith was not something to gain, but something to remember. For beneath every doubt, belief still lives. The subconscious was never your enemy. It only obeyed the commands it was given. Now that you have learned to issue new commands, the servant becomes your ally. The man who governs his testimony governs his fate. He no longer begs fortune to favor him. He instructs fortune through conviction. He does not pray for miracles. He expects order. He does not fear failure. He translates it into power. This is the law. You may deny it, ignore it, or neglect it, but it continues its operation just the same. The wise man aligns with it and becomes creator of circumstance. The foolish man contradicts it and becomes victim of accident. Begin tonight. Stand before your own mind as judge and jury and give new testimony. Speak of your worth. Speak of your purpose. Speak of your certainty. Then rest knowing that the record has been changed. The subconscious will labor through the night to make your words flesh, your belief form, your inner decree visible in the outer world. And when morning arrives, walk as though the verdict is already fulfilled, because it is. The law never delays. It only awaits your decision. Now whisper this before sleep. I am the author of my fate. My words shape my world. My testimony is power, and power serves me. From this night forward, I speak only of success, and success obeys. Then let silence follow, for silence is the final signature of conviction, and in that stillness the subconscious receives its order and begins its perfect work. The average man believes only what his eyes can see. He bows before visible facts and calls them reality. But the wise man understands that every visible fact is only an after effect of invisible causes. What you call evidence is but the echo of old beliefs returning to you through circumstance. Change the inner cause, and soon the outer proof must change to match it. Most men live as slaves to appearances. They look upon hardship and say, "This proves my failure." They meet delay and say, "This proves I am not meant to succeed." They see a closed door and declare, "This proves the law does not work." Yet nothing could be farther from the truth. Every appearance of lack is simply the outer world rearranging itself to make room for abundance. The law of reverse evidence teaches that what seems to deny you is often preparing you. That rejection is correction. That failure is formation. That the very moment you are tempted to doubt the law is the moment it is nearest fulfillment. Infinite intelligence disguises opportunity as difficulty to strengthen the man who will soon hold power. Consider the miner R.U. Darby. He quit his gold mine just 3 feet from fortune. His tools were sound, his method right, his faith once strong, but he misread the evidence. The appearance of emptiness deceived him into surrender. Years later, as an insurance man, he applied the lesson. He vowed never again to stop 3 feet from gold. That vow made him a millionaire. The gold had been there all along. He simply could not see it through discouragement. So it is with every man. Most abandon their purpose in the very hour when progress is being made unseen. The subconscious is working beneath the surface, aligning men, means, and moments in obedience to your belief. But if you call that hidden period failure, you reverse the command. The subconscious then turns inward, confused, halting its work. To master this law, you must become interpreter of appearances. You must look upon every delay and say, "This is not denial, this is refinement." You must treat every setback as signal, not sentence. For what you decide evidence means, the subconscious takes as law. Thomas Edison practiced this art perfectly. He failed more than 1,000 times before the light bulb shone. Yet he never called a single attempt failure. He called each another discovery of what will not work. That interpretation strengthened his subconscious, which never once accepted defeat. The same world that mocked him soon bowed before his creation. His success was not the absence of obstacles, but mastery of meaning. Henry Ford, too, met evidence that would have broken lesser men. Banks refused him credit, experts called him a dreamer, machines broke, workers quit. Yet Ford's mind refused the visible as final. He said, "I will build a motor car for the great multitude." His subconscious, hearing that decree, turned all contradiction into confirmation. The law obeyed. Remember this eternal principle. Conditions are effects, not causes. They are shadows cast by the light of your own belief. The man who chases shadows exhausts himself. The man who turns toward the light changes the shadow's form. When difficulty visits you, speak within, "This too is the law fulfilling itself." Such calm acknowledgement transforms fear into fuel. The subconscious, hearing no panic, proceeds confidently with its task. Each night review the day's events. Where the world seemed to oppose you, reinterpret it before sleep. Say, "This was not loss, it was guidance. This was not rejection, it was protection. This was not failure, it was preparation." Speak these reinterpretations slowly, with conviction. Your subconscious will rewrite its files and extract power from what once produced pain. To understand the power of this law, you must see life as sequence. Infinite intelligence works through stages. The seed is buried before it grows. The night precedes dawn. The winter strengthens roots before spring shows bloom. If you judge by appearances, you would call winter a failure of nature. Yet winter is nature's discipline, her preparation for abundance. So it is with the soul. A man prays for strength, and life gives him hardship to build it. He asks for courage, and the law presents him with fear to conquer. He desires faith, and the universe sends silence to test him. To the untrained mind, this looks like contradiction. To the wise, it is cooperation. Charles M. Schwab rose by understanding this. When the steel industry trembled with uncertainty, when competitors merged against him, Schwab remained cheerful. He said, "Every panic carries seeds of prosperity." His calm turned panic into profit. His subconscious fed only confidence, reorganized facts to match his faith. Do not think faith means blindness. It means sight of a higher order, the ability to perceive cause while others see only effect. To the man of faith, appearances are servants, not masters. He reads them as signs, not sentences. There is an order in all things, though the steps may appear chaotic. Infinite intelligence does not err. If you hold your desire with patience, the law will perfect every detail. The bridge to your success may still be under construction. Wait with understanding, and the bridge will appear under your feet when the time is ripe. Every great builder has faced the hour when material seemed lacking, yet they proceeded as if supply were already on its way. Their subconscious, seeing that expectation, summoned the necessary means. Andrew Carnegie began with nothing but the belief that men could cooperate for common wealth. He acted as though the law were already in motion, and it was. What you expect during adversity determines your destiny after it. Expect defeat, and you perpetuate it. Expect refinement, and you rise purified. The man who thanks life even for his trials multiplies good. Gratitude is the alchemy that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. When the road seems closed, practice this nightly exercise. Before sleep, bring to mind the most discouraging event of the day. Then say, I bless this event. I see its hidden good. I accept its lesson and command it to serve me. Imagine light surrounding the event until its heaviness dissolves. The subconscious will interpret this as new instruction and will seek the hidden benefit until it finds it. King Gillette applied this principle through 6 long years of rejection. His idea for a safety razor was scorned as foolish. Investors turned him away. Factories refused his orders. Yet he never called these refusals defeat. He said, they are proof that the idea is valuable, else it would not resist me. That interpretation preserved his faith. When success came, it came in a torrent. His fortune was the interest paid on years of right interpretation. You too will experience contradiction. The world will sometimes echo your old beliefs even as you replace them. Fear will masquerade as reality one final time to test your conviction. Do not be deceived. This is not regression. It is purification. The old pattern must exhaust itself before vanishing. When a man reaches this understanding, he becomes immovable. Others may flinch, complain, or surrender, but he remains serene. His peace is not ignorance. It is mastery. People will notice this peace and mistake it for luck. They will say, he never seems disturbed no matter what happens. What they cannot see is the inner habit of right interpretation that governs his mind. Let this be your rule. When events appear contrary to desire, do not react, reinterpret. Feel the emotion you would feel if the event were blessing, and soon it will reveal itself as such. This practice trains the subconscious to see benefit everywhere, and what the subconscious expects, it must create. You will save years, perhaps decades, by mastering this single law. Most men spend their lives recovering from disappointments because they misread them. They turn setbacks into scars instead of fuel. The man who practices reverse evidence transforms each loss into leverage. He learns more from defeat than others learn from victory. Let me speak plainly. No man is ever defeated until he accepts defeat as fact. Every so-called failure is merely unfinished success. The law never withdraws promise. It only withholds it until you are ready to possess it rightly. Faith is not denial of difficulty. It is interpretation of purpose. It says, this too belongs to my advancement. It finds meaning where others find misery. Such faith does not come from blind optimism, but from intelligent recognition of law. When you understand that all motion in life serves upward evolution, you cease to fear downward turns. The subconscious mirrors your emotional conclusion about every event. If you feel this is bad, it creates results to match. If you feel this is good, it draws proof accordingly. The difference between despair and discovery lies in your decision about meaning. Let these affirmations guide you when the world looks dark. Every obstacle contains instruction. Delay is not denial. My faith interprets every event for my benefit. Repeat them not as escape from pain, but as declaration of principle. Feel the truth behind them. In time, your subconscious will make them reflex. You will find yourself calm in the face of uncertainty, certain amid confusion, steadfast while others scatter. Observe how this composure changes your world. Opportunity will seek you. Others will trust you in crisis because your steadiness feels like safety. They will not know that your calm comes from nightly communion with law. They will only feel drawn to the man who sees clearly when others panic. Infinite intelligence rewards such faith with cooperation. Doors that were closed begin to open. People who once doubted begin to assist. Circumstances rearrange to confirm your inner expectation. The outer world cannot resist a mind that interprets everything as progress. Do not rush the process. You are not proving yourself to the law. The law is proving itself to you. Each delay tests your endurance. Each apparent failure refines your desire. Each silence strengthens your word. When the time ripens, what once resisted you will serve you. Look again at your past. How many times did disappointment later reveal blessing? How many mistakes led you to better paths? The law of reverse evidence has always been at work. Now you will use it consciously. You will call good forth even from the ashes. Practice gratitude even when nothing seems worthy of thanks. Gratitude is the language the subconscious understands best. It interprets thankfulness as proof of possession. When you thank before receiving, you demonstrate faith, and faith is the master key. Remember, every visible result is the shadow of an invisible state of mind. When you change the state, the shadow must alter. Be patient as form adjusts to thought. Just as the echo lags behind the voice, results lag behind belief. But they always arrive. Keep a written record of every seeming misfortune that later proved useful. This will train your mind to expect the same in future. Each page will become evidence of law's precision. When new trouble comes, you will look back and say, "This too will bless me." That confidence alone will hasten the blessing. Do not despise small beginnings or slow progress. The law moves in proportion to your faith, not your impatience. The man who demands quick reward proves he does not trust the process. Patience is the evidence of power. It tells the subconscious, "I know law cannot fail." When fatigue tempts you to doubt, rest but do not renounce. Silence strengthens belief. The subconscious works best when you are still. Faith requires not constant motion, but constant conviction. You will soon reach a point where evidence no longer troubles you. Success and failure alike will feel like instruments of the same music. You will rise above appearance, living by principle rather than circumstance. That is mastery, the ability to remain inwardly unmoved by outward variation. Then the years others waste in discouragement will vanish from your path. While they start over after each disappointment, you will continue forward without interruption. That alone will place you decades ahead in achievement. Let your nightly ritual end with these words. Nothing opposes me. Everything serves me. The law works now, though my eyes cannot see its motion. I rest in its order. Say it with peace, not demand. The subconscious hears peace as confidence. When you wake, act as though help is already on its way, for it is. This is how you become immovable. The storms of circumstance will beat against you, but they cannot uproot a mind that interprets all wind as progress. You will bend, never break. And in time, your composure will draw respect. Your patience will attract power, and your faith will create visible abundance. Others will call it luck, but you will know it as law, the law of reverse evidence, the power to see gold where others see gravel, opportunity where others see failure, and order where others see chaos. For that is the mind of mastery, the mind that no longer believes what it sees, but sees what it believes. And such a mind can never be conquered. There comes a point in the journey of every man when repetition gives birth to revelation. He begins to feel that something within him is changing, not through sudden miracle, but through steady obedience. The same words he once repeated as practice now ring with conviction. The same ideas that once seemed distant now feel natural. It is at this moment that the old identity begins to crumble and the new man begins to rise. This is the law of inner rebirth. You have heard it said that a man cannot put new wine into old bottles. The same law applies to thought. You cannot pour new faith into the same mold of fear. The vessel must break before the new substance can fill it. Every old belief, every pattern of doubt must dissolve to make room for what you are becoming. The subconscious, once ruled by fear, must die to that rule before it can serve a new master. Most men resist this death. They cling to their old identity as if it were safety, not realizing it is a prison. They hold tightly to old habits of self-criticism, fear, and limitation, because they have mistaken familiarity for security. Yet no man ever rose while clutching his chains. The law of inner rebirth demands surrender, the letting go of who you were to make room for who you must become. This death is not destruction, it is transformation. Just as the seed must decay before the sprout appears, your old self must dissolve before new life can emerge. The subconscious cannot serve two masters. It cannot build greatness on the foundation of inferiority. The law, therefore, tears down the old house to build the new. The pain you feel during this process is not punishment. It is birth. You will know this law is working when things once familiar begin to lose meaning. Conversations that once excited you will bore you. Environments that once felt comfortable will feel restrictive. Friends who once mirrored your old beliefs will grow distant. Do not mistake this for loss. It is refinement. You are not being abandoned. You are being redefined. Abraham Lincoln lived this transformation. Repeated failure, ridicule, and rejection carved away everything false until only faith in purpose remained. He rose from defeat after defeat, each one removing another layer of weakness. By the time the world recognized him as great, he had already buried the old Lincoln. His rebirth occurred in silence, in the depths of perseverance. F.W. Woolworth faced the same crucible. Laughed at by merchants, mocked for his vision, he watched failure follow failure. But rather than collapse, he used each loss to purify belief. The man who first opened a single counter of inexpensive goods became, through rebirth, the creator of an empire. He died to small thinking before the world called him successful. Henry Ford, too, was reborn many times. Each bankruptcy was a burial, each new attempt a resurrection. He outgrew failure by refusing to identify with it. When his first car failed, he said, "That was not me, that was a method." His identity remained faithful to the man who would one day change the world. That identity, repeated through faith, produced the visible Ford the world remembers. The law of inner rebirth requires that you say nightly, "I release who I was to make room for who I am becoming." Say it calmly, not as desire, but as command. For each day, the subconscious releases fragments of the old you. It dissolves fears, erases falsehoods, removes invisible chains. But it will not act unless you give permission. Rebirth is the natural consequence of repetition. Each affirmation, each visualization, each night of faith plants new life within the subconscious. You do not see it growing, but it grows. One night, the soil of habit gives way, and the sprout of conviction appears. You begin to think differently, speak differently, decide differently. The change feels effortless because it is no longer conscious. It has become identity. Understand this truth. Identity governs destiny. A man can never rise higher than the image he holds of himself. Therefore, to change destiny, he must change identity. The law of inner rebirth is the law by which identity renews itself. It rebuilds the self-image through repetition until the subconscious forgets the old pattern entirely. There is no single moment when the old dies and the new is born. It happens gradually, silently, like dawn overtaking night. The light increases until darkness disappears without struggle. Do not rush this process. Let faith work in secret. The oak does not strain to outgrow its shell. It expands naturally, and the shell breaks on its own. So it is with the mind. You will notice subtle signs of rebirth. Fear will arise less frequently and pass more quickly. Old habits will feel foreign. You will begin to act decisively without hesitation, to speak confidently without effort. The same world will look different because the observer has changed. The universe, obedient to your inner image, will begin to reflect the new man you have become. Others will sense it before they can name it. They will feel a new gravity in your presence, a quiet certainty. Some will admire it. Others will resist it, for your transformation reminds them of their own stagnation. Do not shrink for them. Let your rebirth stand as silent proof of what faith can accomplish. The world does not need explanation, it needs demonstration. You must learn to honor the period of stillness between the death of the old and the appearance of the new. Many falter here. They feel the void and rush to fill it with the familiar. They call this discomfort failure, when in truth it is transition. The subconscious, purging its old records, passes through emptiness. Be still and endure it. That emptiness is the womb of your next creation. To assist this process, practice nightly surrender. As you lie in bed, imagine placing all old memories, doubts, and disappointments into a great fire. Watch them burn until nothing remains but light. Say, I am new. Do not concern yourself with how this will manifest. The subconscious understands symbolism better than logic. It will interpret the act as readiness for renewal. Every spiritual teacher, every inventor, every leader has known rebirth. It is not a mystery reserved for saints. It is the law of progress itself. Each new level of achievement requires the death of the old level of understanding. Every discovery demands the abandonment of former ignorance. When Edison found the light, he let go of the belief that failure was possible. When Ford built the motor car, he shed the belief that wealth belonged only to the few. When Carnegie constructed his empire, he released the idea that leadership required privilege. Each rebirth began with a new idea accepted by the subconscious as identity. The same process awaits you. You will rise no higher than the truth you accept about yourself. If you still see yourself as victim, the subconscious must produce circumstances that confirm it. Replace that image with one of mastery, and the world will yield accordingly. The subconscious does not distinguish between life and death. It recognizes only continuity. When you let an old idea die, it instantly begins constructing the new. Therefore, you lose nothing by letting go. You gain freedom. The more you release, the faster the law rebuilds. To live under this law is to experience perpetual renewal. Each night becomes a resurrection, each morning a new birth. The man who understands this no longer fears change. He invites it. For change means evolution, and evolution is the heartbeat of success. You cannot be reborn while defending your past. Many men imprison themselves by rehearsing old injuries, failures, and regrets. They polish their chains and call it reflection. But reflection without renewal is decay. Let the past serve you, not enslave you. Say, the past has served me. It no longer defines me. Then close the door behind you. Do not mourn what falls away. When the caterpillar dissolves into the cocoon, it may imagine it is dying. In truth, it is transforming. The discomfort you feel during inner change is proof that a greater form is forming. Hold faith during the melting, and you will emerge with wings. Every new identity must be reinforced through repetition. The mind forgets easily. Just as muscles atrophy without use, belief weakens without rehearsal. Each morning and night affirm, I am born of faith, not fear. My mind is new, therefore my life is new. Speak it until it becomes instinct. Notice how this rebirth alters your relation to others. Where once you sought validation, you will now offer assurance. Where once you feared judgment, you will now extend understanding. The man reborn sees not competition, but cooperation, not obstacles, but design. His very presence changes the emotional climate of those around him. The subconscious rewards this new identity with creative power. Ideas will arise unbidden. Opportunities will appear spontaneously. Coincidences will multiply. These are not miracles. They are the natural expression of a mind freed from contradiction. The universe responds swiftly to a man who knows who he is. Rebirth brings simplicity. The struggle of self-doubt ends. The endless questioning ceases. The man who has rebuilt himself walks in quiet confidence. His decisions are final, his steps deliberate, his words few. He no longer asks for permission from the world because his authority comes from within. This is the true meaning of faith. Not hope for better days, but certainty of one's power to create them. The reborn man does not wait for conditions to change. He changes the conditions by his state of mind. The law demands maintenance. Identity, once renewed, must be kept clean from the dust of fear and criticism. Each day, life will test your new image. It will ask, do you still believe? Do not answer with argument. Answer with calm persistence. Each time you reaffirm faith, you strengthen the structure of your new self. When old habits attempt to return, do not fight them, outgrow them. Replace each one with a higher expression. Where you once complained, give thanks. Where you once hesitated, decide. Where you once feared, act. Every small victory declares to the subconscious, the old life is gone, the new life reigns. There will come a night when you feel entirely different, though you cannot explain why. You will wake lighter, as if a weight has vanished. Your thoughts will move without resistance. You will sense that life is responding differently to you. That is the sign of full rebirth. The moment the subconscious has fully accepted the new order, do not expect fanfare. True rebirth happens in silence. There will be no applause, no visible ceremony. The world may continue as before, unaware that a king has risen where a beggar once slept. But soon events will reveal it. New opportunities, harmonious relationships, increased prosperity, renewed health. The outer must conform to the inner decree. When you reach this state, use it wisely. Remember that every power, if misused, decays. Stay humble before the law. Continue nightly gratitude. Bless others in their struggles, for they are traveling the same road. Speak faith into their lives as you once spoke it into your own. The man who shares abundance multiplies it. This is how you secure permanent success. The man who renews himself continually never grows old in spirit. He evolves beyond limitation as naturally as the seasons turn. Failure cannot touch him, for he transforms even failure into growth. Time cannot erode him, for each year brings deeper understanding. End each day with this sacred declaration: I die daily to weakness and am born to power. I am not who I was. I am who I decide to be. Infinite intelligence works through me to create the man I was destined to become. Speak these words softly and let them carry you into rest. As you sleep, the subconscious will begin its holy labor. It will rewrite the records of your past, erase the scars of old defeat, and carve upon your soul the signature of greatness. It will fashion in secret what daylight will one day reveal, a life aligned with divine law. When you awaken, act as though the transformation is already complete. Move as the new man would move, think as he would think, speak as he would speak. The subconscious recognizes consistency. It will strengthen whatever you express through action. If doubt returns, smile at it. It is only the ghost of an old belief fading away. Say, you no longer belong here. The subconscious will take note and continue the cleansing. As the months pass, you will realize that life has grown gentler. People will respond to you with more respect. Obstacles will seem to dissolve before they form. Inner guidance will become clear and immediate. These are signs of rebirth made visible. At last you will understand that what you sought all along was not wealth or power or success, but renewal of mind, the awakening of the godlike power within you. For every limitation was but a shadow of forgotten faith, and every fear was only a lie told by the dying self. Now that the new man stands, the law itself will serve him faithfully. He will walk with quiet strength, knowing that no obstacle can withstand a soul reborn in faith. He will bless adversity as friend, greet uncertainty as teacher, and command life as rightful master. And when others ask, "What changed you?" he will answer with a calm smile, "I remembered who I am." For that is the ultimate revelation of this law. You were never small. You were never powerless. You simply lived under the hypnosis of lesser belief. The law of inner rebirth breaks that spell forever. It awakens the sleeping giant within. the true self, made in the image of infinite intelligence, bound by no limitation except those it accepts. So lie down now and rest in this knowing. The old self is ending, the new self beginning. The soil has been cleared, the seed planted, the law engaged. From this night forward, every thought, every dream, every heartbeat works for your expansion. You have crossed from effort to flow, from hope to certainty, from belief to being. Let the subconscious complete its work in peace. For the dawn approaches, and when it comes, the man who rises from his bed will not be the one who lay down. He will be reborn in law, in power, and in faith, and his life from that day forward will be the visible proof of invisible transformation. Think back over the last years. How many times did you say, everything will work out, but inside you were not convinced? You hoped, but hope without law is nothing but a soft wish, and the world does not obey wishes. It obeys the man who becomes definite, disciplined, and decided. Look honestly at the moments when things fell apart. The bill that arrived at the worst possible time. The opportunity you wanted, slipping into the hands of someone less capable. The argument at your dinner table that left you wondering if your family still believed in you. These moments were not random punishments, they were warnings, warnings that life does not arrange itself kindly for the man who drifts. Yet notice something else. There were also moments where something worked out in your favor, when you moved with conviction, even briefly, and life opened. You made a decision with clarity, and the right person appeared. You spoke with belief, and doors opened where none existed. Those moments showed you the truth you have been blind to. Life bends when you bend yourself. Most men never understand this. They wait for life to behave before they behave. They wait for calm before they act. They wait for confidence before they decide. That is why they spend their years watching younger, bolder men walk past them into the very success they once believed belonged to them. And nothing stings like watching another man live your dream. Consider the effect this has had on your household. Think of the evenings when you sat at the table speaking about your plans, only to watch doubt flicker in the eyes of the person who loves you most. Not because she does not believe in you, but because she has heard your promises before. She has watched you rise with the morning sun and fall back into the same habits by nightfall. Think of your children. They study you far more than they study their books. They see when you carry yourself with purpose, and they see when you shrink beneath the weight of your own hesitation. And in your quiet moments, you fear the thought that they may inherit your doubt instead of your potential. And then there are your rivals, the men who once stood beside you, who now stand ahead. They greet you with polite smiles, but their eyes reveal what they think, that you are a man who talks grandly, but accomplishes little. Their success does not hurt you because you envy them. It hurts because you know you are capable of more. But all of this can change with a single decision. A man becomes powerful the moment he refuses to leave outcomes to chance. The moment he declares, everything works out for me because I will make it so. This is not arrogance, this is obedience to law. Hill proved again and again that life answers definiteness with obedience. Listen carefully to this. Every time you believed things would work out, but they did not, the fault was not with the universe. It was with the weakness behind the belief you wished instead of commanded. You hoped instead of decided. You waited instead of acting. Faith without action is like a torch without flame. It looks useful, but brings no light. Real faith is not soft. Real faith is a hammer. It strikes, it shapes, it commands. And when a man learns to move with that kind of faith, life begins to align in ways that others call luck. Luck is nothing but law in disguise. Law responding to the man who finally refuses to drift. Picture the version of yourself who no longer clings to survival. The man who walks through his home with the stature of one who knows where he is going. Imagine the look on your partner's face when she sees that you no longer speak of your goals with trembling hope, but with the calm certainty of a man who has already claimed them. Imagine your children watching you rise with discipline instead of excuses. Imagine giving them a father who proves that life is not something to be feared, but something to be shaped. One day they will say, "Everything works out for me," because they saw it work out for you. That is legacy. That is leadership. And imagine your rivals then. The men who once dismissed you will begin to watch you with caution. They will notice the shift in your tone, the steadiness in your movements, the clarity in your decisions. They will feel even before you speak that you have become a man who is no longer tossed by circumstance but guided by intention. But this future will demand something of you. It will demand that you release the idea that life is meant to treat you kindly without your participation. It will demand that you abandon the belief that fortune is delivered to those who wait patiently. The world respects only the man who stands, speaks, and moves with authority. You must become the kind of man who does not merely hope for things to work out, but insists upon it. You must speak your desires aloud until your subconscious accepts them as commands. You must act with such direction that confusion flees from your presence. And when setbacks arise, you must remain unmoved, knowing that even apparent failure bends toward the man who does not surrender. Say to yourself now with firmness, not with fragility, "Everything works out for me because I make it work." Feel the weight of those words. Feel the responsibility inside them. Feel the truth that you have avoided for years, that life is not cruel. Life is obedient. It will deliver whatever you demand with enough definiteness and enough persistence. You are not here to be a spectator in your own story. You are here to shape it. You are here to rise above the fears passed down to you, above the doubts spoken around you, above the habits that once betrayed you, and if you will listen to the laws you are about to hear, you will soon become a man whose entire existence stands as proof that everything does indeed work out when the man works. This is your moment. The moment you stop waiting for things to fall into place and begin placing them yourself. The moment your family sees the return of the man they always believed you could be. The moment you step into the role you were meant to claim. Make life work out, not by chance, but by command. Part 1. The law that makes life bend in your favor. I have watched men wander through life believing that hope alone would rescue them. Yet hope without definiteness is nothing but a silent confession of weakness. Life does not bend for the man who wishes. Life bends for the man who decides. The moment a man becomes definite, he calls into motion laws that the idle man never discovers. A man wastes years, sometimes decades, because he drifts. Drift is not a single choice. It is the absence of choice. It is the mind waiting for life to become simple, when life is waiting for the man to become strong. Every year a man remains indefinite. He loses opportunities that would have obeyed him had he acted with purpose. The law that governs success is not hidden. It is simple. Outcomes obey the man who decides they must. This is not arrogance. It is obedience to the same principle that governs every triumph in human history. A clear decision backed by unwavering action produces results that seem miraculous to those who live by hope alone. Look at Henry Ford. His rise did not come from genius or favorable conditions. It came from a decision that left no place for retreat. He did not wonder whether his idea would work. He declared that it would, and the world obeyed. Decision shaped his fortune long before steel or machinery played their part. Consider Andrew Carnegie. He rose from poverty not because life favored him, but because he held an image of his future so clearly that every action he took was pulled toward it. Carnegie decided. Carnegie acted. Carnegie persisted. And life bent beneath the weight of his definiteness. Think of Edison, who refused to consider failure even when thousands of experiments did not yield results. His decision was so firm that the world could not help but submit to his will. The electric light was not the product of chance. It was the product of definiteness, enforced by relentless action. Hope is a soft thing. It comforts the idle man, but strengthens nothing within him. Hope says, I wish. Faith backed by action says, I will. Only one of these produces movement. Hope soothes the drifting soul. Faith commands the advancing one. A man who wants life to work out for him must abandon hope and embrace command. Responsibility shortens the path more than talent ever could. A man who takes full responsibility for his results saves himself 10 years of wandering. When he says, I am the cause of my fortune or misfortune, he places his hands upon the levers of destiny. Responsibility removes the illusion that he must wait for life to improve. Inner authority always precedes outer achievement. A man cannot command the world until he commands himself. He cannot direct circumstances until he directs his thoughts. When a man becomes master of his own mind, life recognizes him as one who is permitted to lead. His decisions carry weight, and weight creates influence. When I say that everything works out, I do not speak of luck. I speak of law. Life arranges itself around a man who arranges himself around purpose. This is the same law that elevated the great builders of industry, the great leaders of nations, and the great creators of progress. Their success was not fortunate. It was earned by obedience to mental law. The mind must be instructed repeatedly. A single declaration cannot change a man's destiny. But repetition, direct, emotional, unwavering repetition, turns belief into subconscious command. When a man says each day, everything works out for me because I make it work, he is rewriting the blueprint of his character. Drift steals a decade. Definiteness returns it. Decision steals another decade from the control of circumstance. Purpose gives it back. A man who becomes definite in thought can save 10, 20, even 30 years of his life. The world calls this luck, but luck is merely law expressed through decisiveness. When a man is definite, his days gain direction. His steps gain force. His speech gains authority. People begin to respond differently. Doors open more easily. Opportunities come into view. Even his posture shifts. He moves through life not as a wanderer, but as a builder. This is the outward expression of inward law. The reason life has not obeyed you thus far is simple. Your decisions have been unclear, your purpose uncertain, your belief incomplete. Life cannot respond to vagueness. It cannot obey indecision. It aligns itself with the man who instructs it, not the one who waits politely for its approval. A clear aim saves years. A man who knows what he wants moves faster than a man who waits to feel ready. Readiness is the illusion that steals a lifetime. The world favors the man who acts while others hesitate. Ford was not ready when he began. Carnegie was not ready. Edison was not ready. Yet they acted, and readiness grew around them. Once a man becomes definite, others begin to see him differently. They may not understand the cause, but they feel the change. His family senses steadiness instead of uncertainty. His colleagues sense direction instead of wandering. His rivals sense danger instead of weakness. The rising man does not become louder. He becomes clearer. When a man decides that everything will work out, he does not wait for conditions to become favorable. He makes them favorable through effort, discipline, and loyalty to his aim. The world respects the man who advances without permission. It bends for him because he bends himself to law. Life bends for the disciplined. It bends for the persistent. It bends for the man who speaks with authority. It bends for the man who refuses to drift. This bending is not mystical. It is mechanical. It is the result of cause and effect, mind over matter, decision over delay. Repeating a commanding idea trains the mind to obey. When you say, everything works out for me, and insist upon it daily, your subconscious begins reorganizing your beliefs, habits, and reactions. Soon you act in a way that makes success inevitable. Success follows the man who behaves as though it is already certain. Definiteness shortens the road to destiny. Indecision lengthens it. Drift turns miles into decades. Decision turns decades into days. A man who decides today will accomplish more in 1 year than a drifting man accomplishes in 10. This is not exaggeration. This is law. Say to yourself now, everything works out for me because I make it work. Say it with firmness. Say it until your voice gains weight. Say it until doubt retreats. Say it until your subconscious accepts it as truth. A man becomes the words he repeats with conviction. You have wasted enough years waiting for luck. Luck is an excuse created by those who fear responsibility. The man who becomes definite carries his own fortune. He creates his opportunities. He shapes his circumstances. He commands his results. Life will bend in your favor the moment you bend your thoughts in the direction of certainty. The man who knows his aim and refuses to drift will soon find that life has become his servant instead of his master. Say it again and let it shape your spirit. Everything works out for me because I make it work. You are now prepared for the next stage, becoming the man life cannot resist. Part 2, becoming the man life cannot resist. I have witnessed throughout my life that opportunity is far less selective than men imagine. Opportunity does not choose the educated over the uneducated, nor the wealthy over the poor, nor the favored over the forgotten. Opportunity chooses only one type of man, the one whose presence declares without a word that he is ready to receive it. Life cannot resist a man who carries himself with certainty. Certainty is not arrogance. It is not the loud speech of the insecure. It is the quiet, unmistakable steadiness that comes from a man who knows where he is going. This posture of certainty is felt long before it is spoken. A man may enter a room and say nothing, yet his bearing communicates intention, clarity, and resolve. Opportunity notices such a man. A man becomes magnetic, not through charm or cleverness, but through disciplined thought. Thought shapes posture. Thought shapes voice. Thought shapes action. When his inner world is ordered, his outer world aligns itself with his will. The magnetic man is simply the one whose mind pulls his surroundings into harmony with his aim. Most men wait for confidence. They believe they must feel strong before they act. This mistake has stolen years from them. Confidence is not given by the world. Confidence is manufactured by action. A man becomes confident only after he forces himself into motion. Confidence is the reward, not the prerequisite. Men lose entire decades waiting for a feeling that would have arrived had they simply acted. Confidence grows when a man decides, when he moves, when he commands himself, even while trembling. The world never grants confidence to the hesitant. It gives confidence to the one who behaves as if he already possesses it. Look at Abraham Lincoln. His certainty was not born of ease. It was born of responsibility. He walked with the gravity of a man who carried the fate of a nation in his mind. Even when criticized, attacked, and misunderstood, he did not waver. That steadiness, quiet, unpretentious, immovable, became the force that held the nation together. Observe Rockefeller. His calm was legendary. In times when others panicked, he walked with composed authority. Men trusted him because he trusted himself. His decisions were clear because his mind was orderly. His presence compelled others to lean upon him. He became irresistible to opportunity because he represented stability in a world of chaos. Consider Charles Schwab. His boldness was not noise, it was a quality of spirit. He approached industry titans not as a servant, but as an equal. His certainty made him welcome in circles far above his origins. Men recognized that Schwab expected success, and therefore he received it. Opportunity met him halfway because he stepped forward with assurance. Life follows the man who walks with intention. When a man drifts, life passes him by. When a man hesitates, life grows indifferent to him. But when he walks steadily, when he speaks clearly, when he acts decisively, life falls into step beside him. Life respects the man who respects his own purpose. This quality of certainty is not a trick. It is the result of mental discipline. A man must train his thoughts the way a craftsman sharpens a blade. If his thoughts are scattered, his presence becomes weak. If his thoughts are firm, his presence becomes strong. Mental discipline makes a man heavy, heavy with purpose, heavy with direction, heavy with quiet power. I call this mental gravity. It is the invisible force by which a man pulls toward himself the conditions that match his state of mind. A man with mental gravity does not chase opportunity. He draws it. His aim becomes the center of a spiritual field that attracts the means of fulfillment. Consistency builds trust, both within oneself and in the eyes of others. When a man holds the same aim day after day, through fatigue, through discouragement, through uncertainty, his reputation becomes granite. Men watch him and say, he will succeed because he is the same today as he was yesterday. Consistency is power. The rising man's reputation changes long before his results appear. His family feels the shift first. They hear conviction replacing uncertainty. They see order replacing chaos. They notice that his promises no longer float in sentiment, but carry substance. The home becomes calmer because the man has become clearer. Rivals sense it as well. They may not congratulate him, but they watch him with new caution. They see a firmness in his movement, a new direction in his tone. They begin to realize that he has outgrown the man he used to be. Rivalry loses its sting when a man grows too strong inwardly to be threatened by comparison. Faith becomes power only when acted upon daily. A single burst of faith accomplishes little. Faith must be practiced the way strength is practiced. Through repetition, through labor, through disciplined belief, faith is a muscle. The more a man uses it, the more life obeys him. Men who lack consistency ask, why does nothing work out for me? The answer is simple. They have not demonstrated to life that they are ready. They shift their aims daily. They drift between intentions. They hold faith without action and desire without discipline. Life cannot commit itself to a man who will not commit himself to his aim. A man becomes irresistible to success when he aligns his thought, speech, and action. When the three are unified, life has no choice but to move. Most men think one thing, speak another, and act on nothing. Their inner conflict repels opportunity. But the man who thinks decisively, speaks with conviction, and acts without hesitation becomes a magnet for achievement. This alignment saves a decade of trial and error. Men who fail spend years trying to patch together scattered efforts. Men who succeed spend their years directing a single force with clarity. One clear aim shortens the path more than 100 scattered efforts. Your rise begins when you decide to embody certainty. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. Certainty is not a feeling. It is a decision sustained by discipline. You do not wait to feel certain. You choose to be certain, and you repeat that choice until your mind obeys your command. To become a man life cannot resist, you must carry yourself as one who expects results, not arrogantly, not boastfully, quietly, steadily, as a man who walks by principle instead of circumstance. Your presence must declare that you lead your own destiny. Say the words now. I walk with intention. I think with purpose. I act with certainty. Say them until the words change your posture. Say them until your family hears truth in your tone. Say them until your rivals feel the shift in your presence. Say them until life itself begins to respond. Life cannot resist the man who rises inwardly. Life cannot ignore the man who acts decisively. Life cannot deny the man who insists upon his destiny. When you cultivate the quality of certainty, you place your hand upon the levers that bend circumstance to your will. You are becoming that man now. Feel it, sense it, accept it, walk in it. Life will adjust itself to the measure of your certainty. Your future will open to the extent that you command it, and the path ahead will straighten as you take each step with purpose. You have learned how the man must be. You are now prepared to learn what the man must do. Part 3, the method that makes everything work out. There comes a moment in every man's journey when mere inspiration is no longer enough. He must know how to make life obey him. He must understand the method by which thought becomes fact, by which faith becomes movement, by which the invisible becomes visible. Without method, desire wanders. With method, desire commands destiny. This is the method that makes everything work out, not by chance, but by law. You must understand this clearly. Nothing in your life has ever happened without first being shaped in the workshop of your mind. Every triumph began as a thought. Every failure began as a thought permitted to grow unchecked. A man's circumstances are nothing more than the harvest of his own mental activity. When he directs that activity with precision, life must obey. A man cannot rise with scattered thoughts. He cannot succeed with a divided mind. He cannot shape his future while allowing fear, doubt, and indecision to occupy the same chamber where purpose should rule alone. The first step of the method is to establish authority over thought. Without mastery of thought, no other mastery is possible. Directed thought is the force that divides the drifting man from the achieving man. Directed thought is thought chosen, thought commanded, thought held, and thought obeyed. Most men allow their thoughts to run wild like untamed horses, dragging them through fear and hesitation. The advancing man trains his thought like a disciplined steed that carries him toward his aim. To practice directed thought, you must choose a single powerful command that aligns with your desired future. The command for this journey is simple. Everything works out for me. But this command must not be a whisper. It must be spoken with intention, with belief, with repetition. Repetition is the chisel that carves belief into the subconscious. The subconscious mind accepts everything repeated with emotion. It does not argue, it does not question, it does not reason, it obeys. When you speak the command, everything works out for me, with conviction day after day, the subconscious reorganizes your inner condition to match that command. Soon your decisions become more confident, your actions more decisive, your posture more powerful. To imprint the mind, a man must speak his words aloud. Silent thoughts are easily forgotten. Spoken words strike deeper. They vibrate through the body. They echo through the chambers of the mind. They declare to the subconscious, this is the new law by which we live. Spoken words are orders, and the subconscious is a servant that follows orders with exactness. Your old pattern was passive hope. You hoped things would work out, but hope carries no authority. Hope is a request made timidly by a man who fears rejection. Directed thought is a command made by a man who refuses to drift. You must shatter the old pattern. You must abandon the lukewarm belief that life will somehow improve on its own. Consider how Edison approached his aim. He did not say, I hope to create a solution. He said, I will. He held the mental picture of his invention with such clarity that thousands of failures could not shake his resolve. His persistence was not random. It was structured. He visualized the result, repeated the belief, acted daily, and refused to entertain opposing thoughts. Edison did not move by emotion. He moved by method. This is why failure could not defeat him. A man moved by emotion collapses when discouraged. A man moved by method cannot be stopped because his action is not dependent on his mood. Method liberates a man from the weakness of feeling. The formula that governs this method is simple yet profound. Thought arrow, belief arrow, action arrow, identity arrow, destiny. Everything in your life follows this sequence. Thought is the seed. Belief is the soil. Action is the growth. Identity is the tree. Destiny is the fruit. When you alter the thought at the root, you alter the destiny at the crown. Most men react to life instead of commanding it. They wait to see what will happen before deciding how to think. They wait for signs before taking action. This reactive way of living wastes years, sometimes entire lifetimes. The commanding man thinks first, acts second, and watches the world rearrange accordingly. Reaction is the habit of the drifting man. Command is the habit of the rising man. You must cease reacting to life as though you are its servant. You must command life as though you are its partner. You must direct your thoughts with firmness, not wait for your thoughts to direct you. Clarity removes 90% of wasted effort. When a man knows exactly what he desires, his actions become efficient. His mind becomes still. His courage becomes strong. When a man lacks clarity, his energy is scattered. He tries many things and completes nothing. He wanders through half-finished endeavors, wondering why nothing works out for him. Clarity begins with written intention. You must write the sentence, "Everything works out for me because I make it so," every morning. This act anchors your mind. It keeps your thought from wandering into fear or prediction of failure. The written word is a net that catches drifting thought. Autosuggestion is the process by which the written word becomes the lived word. When you write a command daily, you begin to think it. When you think it daily, you begin to speak it. When you speak it daily, you begin to act upon it. When you act upon it daily, you begin to identify with it. When you identify with it, life has no choice but to mirror it. This method will save you years. It will save you from confusion, from false starts, from the endless cycle of enthusiasm followed by retreat. It will save you from drifting back into the patterns that once betrayed you. It will save you from the wasted decades that so many men spend hoping instead of directing. Reflect upon the frustration of your past. Think of the times when things almost worked out, but not fully. When you lacked the final ounce of belief, the final stroke of persistence, the final measure of clarity. Those failures were not the fault of life. They were the fault of an incomplete method. When you complete the method, thought, belief, action, identity, destiny, life becomes predictable. Not easy, but predictable. You begin to know that the result must arrive because the cause has been created. A man who controls cause does not fear outcome. Let me illustrate this with the life of Andrew Carnegie. Before he possessed riches, he possessed the identity of a builder. Before the world called him a titan, he saw himself as one. His identity was formed through daily repetition of a clear purpose. His belief came long before his success. His identity came long before his wealth. Identity is the point at which the method becomes self-sustaining. Once the subconscious accepts the command, "Everything works out for me," you will find that your reactions change, your interpretations change, your courage grows, your choices improve. Success begins to feel natural, not forced. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will decide differently. People will notice before you do. They will sense a shift in your energy, your tone, your direction. They will begin to speak of you with new respect. This is not luck. This is identity expressing itself outwardly. When you reach the identity stage, the method no longer requires discipline. It becomes instinct. You act like the man for whom everything works out. You persist like him. You plan like him. You rise like him. And because identity determines destiny, your results match your self-image. Every time you repeat the command, "Everything works out for me," you are not describing the world. You are reshaping it. You are instructing the deepest part of your nature to align with success. You are turning faith into substance. You are turning thought into power. You must speak this command during adversity. You must speak it when the result seems impossible. You must speak it when the bill arrives, when the door closes, when the challenge appears, at the worst possible time. That is when the method proves its worth. That is when the subconscious must hear the voice of authority. Most men abandon the method when conditions become difficult. This is why the method fails them. The method is not meant for calm waters. It is meant for storms. A captain proves his worth not while the sea is still, but when the waves rise. A man proves the strength of his thought not when life is easy, but when life opposes him. If you obey the method during adversity, you will witness something remarkable. Life will bend. Circumstances will rearrange themselves. A way will open where only obstruction existed before doubt will fade. Confidence will grow. This is not magic. It is obedience to law. Life always rewards the man who refuses to retreat from his command. Say the words aloud right now. Everything works out for me because I direct my thought. Say them again, firmer. Everything works out for me because I refuse drift. Now declare them as identity. Everything works out for me because that is the man I have become. You have learned the method. You are ready to make life obey your will through action. Part 4, making life obey your will through action. There is a point in every man's life when thought alone is no longer enough. He must move. He must act. He must demonstrate to life that he is not merely a thinker, not merely a dreamer, not merely a man who repeats affirmations, but a man who takes the next step with courage, even if he must take it with trembling hands. Action is the bridge between the mind and destiny. Without action, belief remains imprisoned inside the mind. I have seen many men develop strong desire, clear intention, and even disciplined thought, yet fail to rise because they did not act. Action gives substance to faith. Action is the fire that turns thought into form. Action is the visible expression of decision. Without action, a man's belief remains a shadow, interesting but powerless. A man must understand that action makes belief powerful. Belief without action is a myth. It gives comfort but produces nothing. A man may believe he can build an empire, but until he lays the first brick, his belief is only a sentiment. Life rewards only the belief that expresses itself through movement. Look at Henry Ford. When he began, he did not wait for conditions to become ideal. He acted while conditions were unfavorable. He acted without the approval of experts. He acted without the reassurance of friends. He acted before he had proof, before he had resources, before he had structure. His action created the very conditions that others insisted he wait for. Ford's genius was not mechanical. It was spiritual. It was the ability to act when others hesitated. His courage replaced the slow, deliberate caution that paralyzes weaker men. He moved as though the result were already secured. That is the secret of decisive movement. The man acts as though the outcome has already been assigned to him. Action eliminates fear faster than thought alone. A man can sit for hours attempting to think courage into himself, but a single step forward will strengthen him more than 100 silent meditations. Fear cannot survive motion. It dissolves the moment a man walks toward the thing he dreads. Men delay for years and call it planning. Planning becomes a sanctuary for those who fear that their best effort may still result in failure, but no plan gains power until a man acts. Planning is not progress. Action is progress. Planning does not move a man closer to his aim. Action does. A man must not fall in love with preparation. Preparation has value only if it leads to execution. A man who spends years preparing without acting wastes more time than the man who acts imperfectly but consistently. The imperfect action of a decisive man produces more progress than the perfect plan of a drifting man. Decisive movement is a spiritual law. When a man acts, forces unseen move with him. Doors open, people appear, ideas awaken, circumstances shift. The man who waits for conditions to become favorable never sees these forces because they reveal themselves only to the man who acts. I have observed that persistence is loyalty to one's aim. A man who is persistent does not need constant inspiration. He does not need encouragement. He does not need applause. He continues because he has given his word to himself. Persistence is the highest form of self-respect. Life respects the man who continues. He may be bruised, he may be tired, he may be ridiculed, yet he continues. And because he continues, life eventually yields circumstances that once resisted him weaken. Obstacles that once intimidated him shrink. Challenges that once angered him teach him. Persistence is not a loud force. It is a quiet, stubborn flame that refuses to extinguish. Edison embodied this flame. Thousands of failures surrounded him, yet he persisted. His persistence was not emotional. It was deliberate. He acted daily even when results seemed invisible. His actions became the foundation of invention. Think of the lives reshaped by a single act of persistence. Andrew Carnegie was refused opportunity many times before he rose, yet each refusal strengthened his determination. He continued, he acted, he insisted, and the world eventually recognized a man who would not be denied. When a man persists long enough, life begins to trust him. Opportunity visits repeatedly, because opportunity sees that he will not squander it. The drifting man is ignored by opportunity. The persistent man is pursued by it. Persistence trains the world to take a man seriously. Action transforms more than results. It transforms reputation. The man who acts gains credibility in his home. His spouse sees movement instead of excuses. She hears progress instead of promises. She observes that each day he is shaping a future, not merely talking about one. Respect returns to the home when the man moves. Action transforms children as well. Children learn by imitation. They watch their father rise each morning with purpose, and they learn that purpose is a normal part of life. They see him working, planning, striving, and refusing to drift. They see that he commands life instead of waiting for it to treat him kindly. They inherit his strength. Rivals sense action too. They may not say it aloud, but their eyes reveal their recognition. They know you have stepped beyond the stage of talking. They know you have entered the stage of building. They begin to withdraw their silent judgments. They begin to measure their own efforts against yours. Your action becomes a reminder of their hesitation. Setbacks bend when a man refuses to bend. Setbacks have power only over the man who allows them to define him. A setback cannot break a man who has decided that he cannot be broken. Life bends to the will of the man who acts without surrender. When he persists long enough, even adversity becomes an ally. The world respects the man who continues. It respects the man who holds his purpose through hardship. It respects the man who does not quit when others quit. The world respects the man whose actions speak louder than his fears. Action saves decades. A man who acts relentlessly will accomplish in 1 year what a hesitant man cannot accomplish in 20. Drift consumes years, the way a fire consumes wood. Action, by contrast, condenses years of progress into months. This is how a man saves 10, 20, or even 30 years of his life. You must teach your body to obey your mind. When your mind gives the order to act, you must act. Delay weakens authority. Immediate action strengthens it. Every time you obey your own command, you increase your power. Every time you hesitate, you diminish it. Action creates identity. A man who acts daily becomes the kind of man who expects results. His identity shifts from dreamer to doer, from observer to creator, from drifter to commander. This identity becomes permanent only through action. Words plant the seed. Action grows the tree. A man must move quickly, but not carelessly. Speed is not recklessness. Speed is clarity. When a man knows his aim, speed becomes natural. He does not need to pause to question his direction. He knows. Clarity eliminates hesitation. The man who acts decisively becomes immune to the paralysis that stops others. He becomes too busy moving to be disrupted by fear. He becomes too engaged in progress to be delayed by doubt. Action carries him like a current carries a ship. The more he moves, the more the current strengthens. Your mind must not only direct your actions, it must support them. When you act, you must affirm, everything works out for me because I move. When you act again, affirm, everything works out because I refuse drift. Repetition strengthens identity, identity strengthens action. Together they form a cycle that builds destiny. Do not underestimate the power of small actions. Small actions performed daily create enormous change. A single disciplined act performed each morning can alter the course of your life. When repeated hundreds of times, it reshapes character, destiny, and reputation. Let me reveal a truth that few men understand. Life applauds movement. Life mirrors movement. Life accelerates when a man accelerates. A man who stands still invites stagnation. A man who acts invites opportunity. Your task is simple. You must become the man who acts while others wait, the man who moves while others hesitate, the man who builds while others dream, the man who continues while others surrender. That man always wins. Action is not merely a choice, it is a declaration. It declares to the world, I am worthy of the result. It declares to your mind, I command my destiny. It declares to your future, prepare a place for me, for I am on my way. Say the words now, I move, I act, I advance. Life obeys me because I obey my purpose. Say them until your body accepts the command. Say them until your hesitation dissolves. Say them until you become the man who does not stop. You are now ready for the final stage, becoming the man for whom everything works. Part 5, becoming the man for whom everything works. There is a stage in a man's development when he no longer hopes that things will work out. He knows they will. He knows it with the same certainty with which he knows the sun will rise, with the same assurance with which he trusts his own breath. This knowing does not come from arrogance. It comes from mastery. It comes from having reshaped his own nature so completely that life must respond in his favor. This is the stage where a man becomes the one for whom everything works. To become this man, you must understand one truth above all. Identity determines outcome. A man's life does not rise to the level of his wishes, it rises to the level of his identity. A man may speak the words, everything works out for me. But unless his identity supports those words, they remain empty sound. The man you are within determines the results you experience without. Identity is the root of destiny. It is stronger than thought. It is stronger than belief. It is stronger than action. Identity governs thought. Identity fuels belief. Identity dictates action. A man acts according to who he believes himself to be, not according to what he hopes he might become. This is why two men may recite the same affirmation, read the same book, make the same plan, yet see entirely different futures. One man acts from fear, the other from certainty. One man hopes the affirmation is true, the other knows it is true. One man moves as a beggar requesting mercy, the other moves as a builder claiming what he has earned. Their identities control their results. If you desire a life where everything works out, you must become the man who expects it as a natural consequence of his character. This is the principle I call identity permanence. Once the subconscious accepts the new self-image, it defends it automatically. It becomes a guardian of your destiny. The subconscious, once trained, becomes fierce in its loyalty. It resists thoughts, actions, and habits that contradict the identity you have chosen. When you declare, I am the man for whom everything works, and reinforce that identity with repetition, action, and persistence, your subconscious begins rejecting every impulse that weakens you. It rejects hesitation, it rejects drift, and it rejects fear. It rejects self-doubt. It rejects the old nature entirely. This is how a man becomes unshakable, not because he is protected from difficulty, but because he is defended by a subconscious mind that no longer tolerates weakness. Rockefeller exemplified this. He was not calm because life was easy. He was calm because his inner identity was anchored. He believed in his destiny with such quiet certainty that external chaos could not reach him. When the world panicked, he remained composed. When markets collapsed, he stood firm. His identity did not permit him to tremble. Carnegie displayed the same steadiness. He walked with the composure of a man who had already achieved greatness long before the world acknowledged it. He was not surprised by success. He expected it. Success was not an event for him. It was a reflection of the man he had already become inside. Edison was unbreakable, not because he never failed, but because his identity did not allow failure to define him. He never saw failure as a verdict. He saw it as a refinement. His identity was that of a creator, a builder, a pioneer. Every setback merely sharpened that identity further. These men did not merely act differently. They were different. They thought from a higher plane. They believed from a deeper place. They moved with the certainty of men whose subconscious had accepted their greatness as law. Your task now is the same, and to become the man for whom everything works because he has become the cause of that outcome. You must understand how identity expresses itself outwardly. A man's identity becomes visible long before his results appear. It shows itself in his posture, his tone, his choices, his discipline, his silence, his presence. Identity is a light that shines through conduct. When you begin to identify as the man for whom everything works, your presence changes. People feel it. They may not be able to articulate what has changed, but they sense it. They sense that your words carry weight. They sense that your actions carry intention. They sense that you have become a man who cannot be moved by trivial fears. Your family will notice first. They will hear steadiness in your voice. They will feel certainty in your manner. They will observe that you no longer speak from a place of hope, but from a place of assurance. Your spouse will feel safe under the strength of your character. Your children will feel pride in the firmness of your demeanor. A family is transformed when the father transforms. A household becomes stronger when the man becomes stronger. A man's identity is not a private matter. It influences every soul in his home. When you become the man for whom everything works out, your family's confidence rises with you. Your rivals will notice next. They will see that you have ceased competing with others and begun competing only with your former self. This unnerves them, for a man who is no longer distracted by comparison becomes formidable rivals fear the man who rises from within, because nothing outside of him can stop him. Opportunity notices as well. Opportunity has always been sensitive to identity. It gravitates to certainty. It gravitates to discipline. It gravitates to the man who moves as though he belongs on the heights. Opportunity does not linger around the drifting, the fearful, the uncertain. It attaches itself to the decisive. When you become this man, everything in your life changes. Difficult tasks become manageable. Obstacles become training. Critics lose their sting. Doubt loses its voice. You begin to see each event, even those that appear unfavorable, as something working for your advancement. This is the greatest secret of the rising man. He sees everything as working in his favor, even when it appears otherwise. When something delays him, he interprets it as protection. When something challenges him, he interprets it as preparation. When something tests him, he interprets it as refinement. When something stretches him, he interprets it as strengthening. Nothing defeats a man who interprets everything as fuel. And this is how everything begins to work out for you. Not because every event is pleasant, but because you have become the man who turns every event into an advantage. Your identity becomes the lens through which you interpret reality. Your interpretation determines your emotional state. Your emotional state determines your actions. Your actions determine your results. Your results reinforce your identity. This cycle, identity arrow, interpretation arrow, action arrow, result arrow, identity, creates a man life cannot resist. But you must reinforce this identity daily through repetition. The affirmation must become your inner command. Everything works out for me. Repeat it with conviction. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Repeat it until your subconscious adopts it as law. Repeat it until your body moves with the posture of a man for whom everything works out. Speak it in the morning. Speak it when difficulty appears. Speak it when opportunities arise. Speak it before sleep. Speak it until your voice shapes your identity. Identity permanence occurs only when repetition aligns with conduct. A man becomes what he repeatedly declares, but only when he acts in harmony with his declaration. Thus, you must behave like the man for whom everything works out. Speak with clarity. Move with purpose. Act with decisiveness. Persist with loyalty. Hold your mind steady. Guard your thought against fear. The man who expects everything to work out must not engage in self-pity, for self-pity is poison to identity. He must not indulge in complaint, for complaint is surrender disguised as expression. He must not entertain doubt, for doubt cracks the foundation of destiny. He must speak only that which strengthens him, act only in ways that advance him, and think only in ways that align with his chosen identity. When identity becomes permanent, fear loses authority. Fear may still whisper, but it cannot command. Doubt may still appear, but it cannot influence. Weakness may still tempt, but it cannot conquer. The man for whom everything works out becomes immune to the forces that once defeated him. He does not ask, "Will this work?" He asks only, "What must I do next?" He does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" He asks, "How can this serve me?" He does not ask, "What if I fail?" He asks, "How do I rise further?" His identity has changed the questions he asks himself, and therefore changed the answers life gives him. This is how a man saves not only 10 years, not only 20, but potentially an entire lifetime. When a man chooses identity early, life accelerates. When a man delays identity, life withholds reward. Most men discover their identity too late. You must not. Say the words with command now. I am the man for whom everything works. Say them again, firmer. Everything bends for me because I bend myself to law. Now declare them as identity. I do not hope. Everything works out for me because that is who I am. Your future will follow the man you become, not the man you were. Become the man life cannot deny, cannot resist, cannot defeat. Everything will work out for you because you have become the cause. Epilogue, the final command to the rising man. A man reaches a turning point when he can no longer return to the version of himself that drifted, doubted, and delayed. You have reached that point now. You have learned the law, trained the thought, moved with intention, and forged the identity of a man for whom everything works. There is no returning to smallness, because smallness no longer fits the structure of your spirit. You must understand that your former self has ended. You are no longer the man who waited for life to behave before he behaved. You are no longer the man who hoped quietly while doubting secretly. You are no longer the man who made promises by sunrise and abandoned them by nightfall. That man has dissolved because you have replaced him with a man of decision. The path ahead is not governed by chance. It is governed by the identity you have built. Identity directs thought, thought directs action, action directs destiny. You now possess an identity that commands the world rather than reacts to it. You have become the cause, not the effect. And a man who becomes the cause no longer fears the outcome. Each day from this moment forward, you must walk with the calm assurance that everything bends toward your advancement. This is not wishful thinking. It is obedience to law. Life favors the decisive. Life strengthens the persistent. Life honors the disciplined. And you have chosen to embody all three. Therefore, life must honor you. Your family will feel the change long before they see the results. They will watch you move with steadiness instead of fear. They will hear confidence replacing hesitation. They will sense that you have become a man who does not collapse beneath difficulty. You will become their quiet reassurance, their anchor, their proof that strength is possible. Your children will study you as they have always done, but now they will see a different man, one who does not bow to uncertainty, one who does not retreat into excuses, one who does not live by chance. They will inherit your certainty the way other children inherit land. This is legacy. This is leadership. Your rivals will sense the shift as well. They may not speak it aloud, but they will feel the difference in your gaze. They will notice that your voice carries weight. They will recognize that you have transformed from a man who wished for success to a man who expects it. Rivals fear expectation because expectation produces results. You must now carry yourself as a man whose presence predicts his future. Let your tone be calm, your steps steady, your decisions firm. Let your actions declare that you have become aligned with law. Do not speak of your rise, demonstrate it. Let the world discover your ascent through your conduct, not your announcements. Say these words each morning with authority. Everything works out for me because I make it work. These words are not decoration. They are command. They are the hammer and chisel with which you carve your destiny. Speak them until your subconscious accepts them. Speak them until your behavior mirrors them. Speak them until they become the law of your life. From this hour forward, difficulty is no longer your enemy. Difficulty is your instructor. Every obstacle that appears in your path is not hindering you. It is shaping you. Every setback you encounter is not defeating you. It is refining you. Every delay you face is not punishing you. It is preparing you. You are no longer the man who fears resistance. You are the man who grows from it. Understand this truth deeply. There is no punishment in your path, only preparation. There is no rejection in your life, only redirection. There is no failure in your story, only feedback. Everything works out for the man who uses everything. This is the advantage of the rising man. He wastes nothing. He turns all of life into material for his ascent. You will meet moments that once would have frightened you. Now you will meet them with composure. You will face decisions that once would have overwhelmed you. Now you will face them with clarity. You will encounter setbacks that once would have defeated you. Now you will rise through them with dignity. This is the strength of the identity you have built. Every day you must honor the man you have become. Do not drift back into the habits that once betrayed you. Do not entertain the doubts that once diminished you. Do not permit the weaknesses that once controlled you to re-enter your mind. You have risen above them. They belong to a man you no longer are. When you wake, stand with purpose. When you speak, speak with intention. When you act, act with discipline. When you decide, decide with authority. Let every movement of your life reflect the identity you now possess. You are a man who commands his destiny. Behave as such. Repeat this final affirmation until it becomes the marrow of your spirit. Everything works out for me because I rise, I persist, and I decide. Say it again. Everything works out for me because I am the cause. Say it once more with absolute conviction. Everything works out for me every day, every hour, every time. Carry these words with you. Live them, prove them, become them. For the man who becomes the cause becomes unstoppable. And for such a man, and everything works out. What you are about to hear may sound simple, too simple, but it is the key that separates the dreamer from the achiever, the poor from the rich, the lost from the destined. 5 minutes. That is all it takes. 5 minutes that can turn the impossible into reality. You have been told that success takes years, that it demands luck, education, or connection. But the truth I discovered in a lifetime of study is far more powerful. Success begins in a sentence. One line spoken with faith can alter the entire structure of your destiny. There is a phrase, hidden, holy, and exact, that I will soon give you. a sequence of words that, when spoken with belief, charges your subconscious mind with the power of creation itself. I call it the daily decree, the short prayer that builds empires, restores health, and opens every locked door in the realm of possibility. But before you say it, you must understand why it works. The average man speaks in contradiction to his desires. He says he wants wealth and talks about debt. He prays for love and repeats loneliness. He asks for opportunity and complains of lack. He negates his own command before it ever reaches the infinite. And so life obeys confusion. It gives him more of what he thinks about most, not what he wishes for. That is the law. The subconscious does not argue, it executes. It does not judge, it obeys. It hears only the repeated order and manifests it with mathematical precision. Every failure in your life can be traced back to one thing: the absence of a definite command to the mind. You have drifted, reacted, waited, wished, but you have not declared. The universe does not move for the indecisive. It moves for the one who speaks his vision as fact. I once asked Andrew Carnegie how a man with nothing could become rich. He smiled and said, he must begin by acting as if he already is, not pretending, believing, speaking to his own mind as though the goal were already done. That is the bridge between thought and reality. There is a power that responds only to gratitude, the highest vibration of faith. Gratitude is proof that you believe your desire is already yours. It is the voice of certainty before the evidence appears. The man who can give thanks before receiving is the man who never fails to receive. For the next few minutes, I want you to imagine that every dream you hold, every goal, every vision, every silent desire has already been fulfilled. The house, the business, the peace, the freedom. Feel it, smell it, see it. Then realize this: it is not imagination. It is creation in its first stage. Now, in that state of gratitude, there are words, 7 divine words, that activate the law of attraction in its truest form. These words have built fortunes, saved marriages, restored health, and made the barren mind fertile with ideas. They are not mine. They are the language of all masters who have commanded reality through faith. Do not repeat them as poetry. Repeat them as command. Speak them not to the world, but to the infinite within. Let every syllable vibrate through your being until it becomes identity. Because until you speak like the man who has already succeeded, you will continue to live like the man who has not. You have heard many affirmations in your life. You have whispered wishes, muttered prayers, and made resolutions. But this one is different. This one ends all doubt, all waiting, all weakness. This one turns desire into possession, idea into result, word into flesh. What you are about to receive is the formula that rewires your entire vibration into certainty. But I warn you, once you speak it with belief, there is no going back. Life will begin to rearrange itself around your words. Opportunities will appear. Circumstances will shift. People will move. The law will obey you. Are you ready to command your world? Then sit upright. Breathe deeply. Empty every thought except this: faith. The kind of faith that moves mountains, that opens doors, that answers prayers. The kind of faith that refuses to negotiate with reality and simply declares its own. In a moment, I will give you the decree, the line to repeat 100 times until your subconscious bends to your will. But first, remember this: your repetition is your proof of belief. Each time you speak it, you are chiseling your new identity into the stone of the mind. Do not rush it. Do not doubt it. Speak it slowly, deliberately, as if engraving it upon eternity itself. For these words, once planted, will not die. They will work for you while you sleep, while you walk, while you face the world. They will burn away fear, silence doubt, and magnetize every good thing toward you. Here it is, the phrase that turns impossibility into fact. Do not just say it, become it. Speak it as if it were already true. I'm so happy and grateful that I already have the very thing I've been working for. Now, thank God I made it. If your dream is financial freedom, you might say, I'm so happy and grateful that I make $10,000 every month now. Thank God I made it. If it is love and abundance, I'm so happy and grateful that I am a happily married multimillionaire. Thank God I made it. If it is peace, health, or purpose, fill in your own vision. Let your mind see it as done, your heart feel it as real, and your voice speak it as law. There it is, the ancient code of creation disguised as gratitude, the sentence that holds both the seed and the harvest, the beginning and the end. Speak it until your very tone convinces heaven itself that you have already received. Repeat it 100 times a day, not begging but affirming, not hoping but knowing. Feel the vibration of completion in every word. See the result in your mind and do not let it go. The moment you can say it without resistance, without doubt, without hesitation, that moment the law begins to obey. This is not magic. It is mathematics of the spirit. It is the same principle by which Edison invented, by which Ford built, by which Rockefeller expanded, by which every great achiever rose from obscurity to power. They did not wait for proof. They spoke proof into existence. So when the world tells you something is impossible, remember, the word impossible was invented by those who stopped repeating their vision too soon. The law does not fail. Men fail to persist. You must repeat until your subconscious accepts your command as reality. 5 minutes a day, 100 repetitions, that is all. But those 5 minutes will be the most profitable of your life. For in them, you are shaping the unseen forces that shape everything else. Now, close your eyes. Picture your goal complete. Feel gratitude rising within you like light through water. Then speak the decree once more. I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now. Thank God I made it. And know this, if you will continue in that vibration of certainty, day after day, the impossible will not only become possible, it will become inevitable. Every great achievement begins in silence, then moves to speech, and finally becomes substance. The mind conceives, the lips command, and the world obeys. That is the invisible sequence through which every empire has been built. Every factory, invention, fortune, or freedom first existed as sound, a word spoken with conviction by one who believed more in law than in luck. The spoken word, when backed by faith, is the most powerful force known to man. It is the bridge between spirit and matter, the invisible law made audible. To speak a thing with gratitude and certainty is to instruct infinite intelligence to form it. The weak whisper doubts. The strong declare truth. The universe listens not to pleading, but to authority. You may think of this power lightly, but observe history, and you will see its pattern. Edison spoke light into a world of darkness. Ford spoke speed into a world of horses. Rockefeller spoke wealth into a world of want. Each of these men began as ordinary thinkers until they discovered the command of spoken faith. Their words were not requests, they were decrees. Every empire begins in the mouth of one man. Every downfall begins with words of fear. The law does not choose favorites, it responds to vibration. The tongue is the tool by which thought is molded into reality. To speak doubt is to command defeat. To speak gratitude is to release victory. That is the first principle of commanded creation. The mind may be imagined as a courtroom. Thought provides evidence, faith is the judge, and the spoken word is the final decree. Once that decree is made, the subconscious obeys without question. It does not ask whether your command is wise or foolish. It fulfills the dominant order that has been repeated with emotion. You are the judge of your own destiny, and your tongue is your gavel. The difference between saying and declaring is the difference between asking and commanding. Most men speak casually, hoping the world will notice their wish. The wise man speaks deliberately, knowing that his voice carries law. There is power in tone, in rhythm, in the certainty that comes from decision. The decree, "I am so happy and grateful that I have it now," is not poetry. It is possession spoken aloud. Ordinary prayer fails because it is filled with doubt. Begging does not move infinite intelligence, for begging admits separation. The moment you ask as if it were not yet yours, you deny your own authority. True prayer is gratitude. Gratitude is not the voice of waiting, it is the voice of having. When you say, "Thank God I made it," you proclaim the law fulfilled. You speak as master, not as servant. When Andrew Carnegie taught me his philosophy of riches, he said, "Every man must begin by acting and speaking as though he already has that which he seeks." He did not mean deceit. He meant faith. Faith spoken so often that it becomes nature. The mind does not distinguish between future and present. It accepts what is spoken repeatedly as fact. Speak possession long enough, and life begins to arrange itself to make your words true. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It cannot decide what seeds to reject. It will grow thorns or wheat with equal vigor. What you plant daily through repetition, it will return multiplied. Therefore, speak only what you wish to see. Every word is a seed. Every repetition is water. Every emotion is sunlight. Gratitude is the greatest fertilizer of them all. It closes the distance between desire and fulfillment. When you thank before receiving, you announce that you have already received. The subconscious hears gratitude as evidence of completion and begins to organize all conditions to match it. The decree, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now," is the sound of faith closing the gap. Understand this clearly. Repetition is not superstition. It is spiritual science. The mind learns through rhythm. Each repetition strengthens the pattern. It engraves a track in the subconscious until it becomes automatic. When you repeat an idea long enough, it ceases to be suggestion and becomes self-image. That self-image then directs behavior, attracts conditions, and becomes destiny. Edison did not merely think of the electric light, he spoke of it until his helpers believed him mad. Yet his voice was faith made audible. "I will illuminate the world," he declared. Henry Ford, when engineers swore that an 8-cylinder engine was impossible, said only, "Produce it." He did not argue, he commanded. The tone of his decision carried more energy than the doubt of 100 men. Rockefeller was asked during a financial panic why he was calm when banks were collapsing. He replied, "Because I believe in the prosperity of this nation." That was his decree. While others spread fear, he spoke faith, and faith multiplied his fortune. These men understood what few ever learn. The law does not respond to argument. It responds to decision voiced in faith. The science of conviction is simple. Speak what you desire with feeling. Repeat it until doubt weakens. Let gratitude be your proof of belief. Speak as if every syllable were backed by the authority of God Himself. That is how infinite intelligence hears it. For faith is its own language. There is an invisible link between thought and vibration. Thought unspoken is seed in the soil of the mind. Speech releases it into the ether where it gathers its likeness. Every word carries tone. That tone determines the speed and form of its manifestation. Speak harshly and you sow resistance. Speak peacefully and you summon harmony. Speak gratefully and you magnetize abundance. You are not merely repeating a sentence, you are constructing the pattern of your future. The decree, "I am so happy and grateful that I have it now," is a formula of mental chemistry. It combines faith, the belief in unseen power, gratitude, the emotional signature of completion, and definiteness, the clear picture of purpose. These three together produce creative combustion. Every time you declare your gratitude, you reinforce that combustion. Each repetition chisels away uncertainty, like a sculptor removing stone to reveal the form within. That is why repetition must be daily. You are building an identity, a mental structure through which infinite intelligence can act. Stop too soon and the form remains unfinished. Persist until your thought is alive with emotion, until you feel your desire as already yours. The world will begin to see your transformation before results appear. Others will sense it in your eyes, in your calmness, in your speech. They will not understand why, but they will feel a magnetism around you. Confidence is silent power. It radiates more loudly than words. They will call it luck, but it is law. If you wish to understand this law, observe how men of vision speak. They never say, "I hope." They say, "I will." They never say, "if." They say, "when." Their vocabulary excludes defeat. Each word they utter builds rather than destroys. Their tongues are the architects of faith. The weak mind speaks reactively. It describes life as it appears. The strong mind speaks creatively. It describes life as it must become. Every declaration of gratitude lifts the mind from effect to cause, from servant to master. When you say, "I have it now," you step out of time into truth. The universe itself was spoken into being. "Let there be light" was not a wish, it was command. And light appeared because law must obey definite sound. You, made in the image of the Creator, possess that same creative faculty. Every time you speak with conviction, you echo that original decree. Let this affirmation guide you. I speak my reality with authority. My words carry law. I am the voice through which infinite intelligence acts. Speak it until it feels alive. Let the vibration of certainty rise from your chest until it fills the room. That is the sound of faith taking shape. Remember, the world does not move for the indecisive. It moves for the one who commands. Speak little, but speak with belief. Speak less of what is wrong and more of what must be right. The law hears only repetition, and the repetition of gratitude transforms all conditions. Each morning, declare your success before the day begins. Each night, thank the infinite for its completion. Let no idle complaint escape your mouth, for each word of doubt delays your fortune. Keep your speech definite, your tone confident, your emotion grateful. Those who master their words master their world. For the word is the first motion of creation, and gratitude is its seal. If you would command the impossible into reality, begin not with effort, but with expression. Say the words, mean them, repeat them, and the unseen will move to make them flesh. So remember this law. One sentence spoken with unwavering faith contains more power than 1,000 actions made in fear. The man who learns to speak as if all he seeks is already his stands among the masters of creation. Therefore begin today. Stand before the mirror of destiny and say, I am so happy and grateful that I have it now. Thank God I made it. Speak it with breath steady, eyes lifted, and heart certain. You are not repeating poetry. You are issuing divine command. And the moment you do, the impossible begins its march toward reality. Faith is not a mystery to be worshipped from afar. It is a vibration to be understood and practiced. Every thought you hold sends a current into the invisible ocean of energy in which you live. Every emotion adds force to that current. And when you speak a thought charged with feeling, it becomes a wave that moves through the ether, organizing matter and circumstance according to its tone. This is the true mechanics of faith. The average man believes that only physical action creates results. He measures life by the labor of his hands, forgetting that every hand moves under the command of thought. Yet it is thought, not toil, that determines outcome. Infinite intelligence does not respond to effort. It responds to frequency. The vibration of certainty rearranges reality with more precision than 1,000 frantic attempts. Emotion is the fuel that turns mental imagery into vibration. Without emotion, thought is like a lamp without electricity. You may repeat a phrase 100 times mechanically, but unless it burns with feeling, it will not illuminate your path. The decree, I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now, thank God I made it, must be spoken not as words but as fire. Each syllable must be charged with gratitude, which is the highest form of emotional electricity. Faith, in its truest sense, is the unseen electricity that powers the word. It is the invisible current that flows between mind and infinite intelligence. When you speak your decree with faith, you are sending a charged signal into the universe declaring that your command is law. That signal never dies. It moves, it attracts, it builds, until what you have spoken becomes visible form. Repetition is the generator that keeps the current alive. Every time you repeat your decree, you strike the tuning fork of belief again, keeping it vibrating until the air around you hums with certainty. In the beginning, your repetition may feel forced, for the old frequency of doubt still lingers. But persistence dissolves interference. Each utterance weakens disbelief. Each repetition strengthens faith. When the mind and the emotion finally move in rhythm, faith ceases to be a practice and becomes a state. You no longer try to believe. You are belief. That is the moment when vibration reaches perfect pitch. Infinite intelligence hears it and obeys it because it is the tone of creation itself, the same tone by which mountains rise and empires are born. Gratitude is the vibration of completion. When you say, thank God I made it, you do not beg. You affirm that the law has already acted. Gratitude turns faith from future expectation to present possession. It is the voice of the mind that knows it is already received. The law of vibration can never be fooled. It matches not your words, but your dominant feeling. Gratitude is the feeling of done. The subconscious mind is the engine room of creation. It operates 24 hours a day without pause, drawing to you the equivalent of your most consistent vibration. When you speak your decree 100 times, you are feeding that engine precise instructions. You are tuning it to one tone, the tone of certainty. When that tone becomes habitual, your subconscious broadcasts it continuously, even when you are silent. Edison understood this law when he worked through endless nights on the electric light. Each failure could have broken a lesser man, but his inner vibration remained constant. His assistant saw failure. He saw progression. His faith had achieved rhythm. No interruption could distort it. That rhythm brought light to the world. So it is with every creator. Success is the echo of vibration maintained without collapse. Carnegie applied the same principle in business. When steel prices fell and competitors panicked, he radiated calm confidence. His employees felt his certainty as tangibly as heat. "We will expand," he declared, while others contracted. His tone carried the vibration of abundance, and abundance obeyed. Men followed him not for his words alone, but for the invisible rhythm behind them, the rhythm of belief. Lincoln, in the darkest days of the Civil War, held that same vibration. When others despaired, his mind vibrated with unity. He said, "This nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom." That phrase, spoken in faith, reshaped a country. The power was not in rhetoric, it was in vibration. His voice harmonized with the will of infinite intelligence. Understand that your own body is the instrument of this creative vibration. Your tone, your breath, your posture, all transmit energy. When you speak your decree with confidence, your very cells resonate with conviction. Faith is not abstract, it is physical. It flows through your nerves, strengthens your heartbeat, steadies your breath. When you affirm, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now," your body learns to feel what your mind believes. At first, you may notice resistance, the old vibration of fear attempting to pull you back into limitation. Do not fight it. Persist. Each repetition weakens its power. The mind cannot hold two frequencies at once. One must yield. Speak your decree until gratitude becomes the louder song. That song is faith taking root in the subconscious, and once it is rooted, no circumstance can uproot it. Faith is rhythmic certainty. Repetition is its drummer. Gratitude is its melody. Together they form the music of manifestation. Every successful man I have known moved to this rhythm. Ford marched to it while engineers mocked him. Edison hummed it through thousands of failures. Carnegie whistled it while others trembled. Each refused to break the tempo of faith. The words "I'm so happy and grateful" carry within them a vibration that transforms thought from demand to decree. Gratitude is the signature of divine partnership. It tells infinite intelligence, "I already trust you." That trust releases resistance. When resistance ends, energy flows freely and manifestation accelerates. Do not rush your repetitions. The law of vibration does not respond to haste but to harmony. Speak slowly, breathe deeply, and feel the resonance of each word in your chest. Let emotion rise naturally. When tears come, let them. They are evidence that your inner current is moving. The stronger the feeling, the stronger the broadcast. When repetition becomes habit, the subconscious takes over the work. You will find the words rising to your lips without effort, even during daily tasks. You will catch yourself smiling in silence, feeling the reality of your goal as though it already surrounds you. That is the subconscious affirming, "It is done." From that point forward, results begin to appear as though summoned from thin air. You will notice subtle shifts first. A conversation that opens an unexpected door, a thought that leads to a solution, a coincidence that aligns with your vision. These are not miracles, they are mathematics. Your vibration has synchronized with its counterpart in the outer world, and law has connected cause with effect. Other men will not understand how you seem to attract fortune effortlessly. They will call it luck, but it is the organized obedience of vibration. You have tuned yourself to success, and success must respond. It cannot resist its own frequency. Persist in your practice until the decree feels natural. When spoken correctly, it no longer feels like affirmation. It feels like remembrance. You are not trying to create something new. You are reminding your mind of what already exists in potential. Infinite intelligence has already finished every creation. Faith merely unveils it. If doubt returns, increase your repetitions. Doubt is only vibration falling out of rhythm. The cure is persistence and gratitude. Keep saying the decree until calmness returns. The storm of fear cannot survive continuous rhythm. The drumbeat of gratitude silences it. Remember this: the subconscious cannot remain neutral. It must be dominated by either faith or fear. Every thought, every emotion, every word contributes to one or the other. Choose consciously. Speak faith until fear dies of starvation. As faith strengthens, your outer manner changes. Your voice gains depth, your words slow with confidence, your eyes focus with purpose. You become magnetic. Others will trust you without knowing why. They will feel drawn to your vibration, for it carries the assurance of leadership. That invisible magnetism is proof that the law is working through you. Edison's assistants once said that in his presence, discouragement felt impossible. That was his vibration. Carnegie's associates claimed they could not help believing when he spoke. That was his vibration. When you repeat your decree with faith and gratitude, you will begin to carry the same atmosphere, the aura of certainty that commands respect and cooperation. Infinite intelligence is not distant. It is the medium through which your vibrations travel. Every tone of faith you produce sets waves in motion that never cease. Somewhere in the invisible ether, every decree you speak is gathering its material equivalent. When you maintain the vibration of gratitude, those waves eventually condense into form. If you could see the unseen, you would never doubt again. You would see your words moving through space, aligning people, events, and resources to your decree. The man of weak faith stops too soon. His vibration fades before the structure is complete. The man of persistence continues daily until faith becomes identity, and identity attracts its likeness as surely as gravity draws objects to the earth. Therefore, speak your words with rhythm, conviction, and calm joy. Each morning and night, dedicate 5 minutes to the decree. Speak slowly with eyes closed and spine straight until the world around you fades and only your vibration remains. Feel gratitude flowing through every cell. Imagine infinite intelligence nodding in recognition. That moment of harmony is creation in motion. Say to yourself often, "My words are alive with faith. My voice is tuned to success. Each repetition strengthens my reality." These are not idle phrases. They are reminders of the law that governs all things. Faith without vibration is dream. Vibration without gratitude is noise. Combine them, and you possess the secret of every miracle man has ever witnessed. Soon, speaking your decree will no longer feel like practice. It will feel like breathing. You will know that each repetition is drawing invisible substance into visible order. You will sense that the unseen is working in your favor even while you rest. That realization marks the birth of true peace, the peace of knowing that what you desire must come because your vibration already contains it. In time, the results will arrive so naturally that you will forget you ever called them impossible. You will see how every moment of repetition, every surge of gratitude, every act of faith was a stroke of the brush painting your destiny. Then you will smile, whisper your decree once more, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now. Thank God I made it." And realize that you have spoken yourself into reality. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must decide who he is, not what he wants. Until that decision is made, he will wander between desires, claiming to seek success, but never stepping into the identity of the man who can command it. The law of identity governs all transformation. You do not attract what you wish for. You attract what you are. Every decree, every repetition of faith, every affirmation of gratitude is not merely a command to the outer world. It is an instruction to the inner self. Each time you say, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now. Thank God I made it," you are telling your subconscious, "This is who I am." And the subconscious, being the faithful servant of repetition, must eventually believe you. Once it believes, it transforms your vibration, your perception, and your behavior until your environment adjusts to your new identity. No man can escape the pattern of his self-image. You may temporarily act rich while thinking poor, but the subconscious will drag you back to the level of belief. You may attempt to speak with confidence while feeling unworthy, but your vibration will betray your words. The outer world is an echo of your inner identity, and it never lies. If you wish to change your results, you must first change the invisible image from which those results spring. The decree is the sculptor's chisel, shaping the unseen clay of self. Each repetition cuts away disbelief, reshapes self-concept, and fashions a new being. You are not repeating words to convince the world. You are repeating them to convince yourself. This is the secret that separates those who try from those who become. The unsuccessful man waits for evidence before believing. The successful man believes until evidence appears. He knows that belief is the mold into which reality must pour. By repeating his decree 100 times a day, he engraves that belief so deeply that the mind cannot contradict it. When the subconscious accepts a new identity, the world bends to mirror it. You cannot plant the seed of failure in thought and reap success in form. You cannot identify as weak and command power. You cannot think as a beggar and live as a master. The law is exact. Identity precedes possession. The key is not to force conditions, but to assume the inner posture of completion until it becomes natural. Think of the decree as a garment. Each time you repeat it, you stitch another thread into this robe of faith. In the beginning, it may feel oversized, like clothing that does not fit, but persistence tailors it to your form. One day you realize that it no longer feels like pretending, it feels like truth. You have become the man who once seemed imaginary. Edison called himself an inventor, long before the world saw him as one. Ford declared himself a manufacturer before he had a single factory. Carnegie thought in terms of millions while still working for pennies. They were not deceiving themselves. They were living from identity rather than condition. The man who knows who he is cannot be held captive by where he is. Your decree, repeated daily, performs this sacred transformation. It dissolves the old self that believed in limitation and births the new self that acts in harmony with faith. The weak mind says, "I will be successful." The mastermind says, "I am successful." The first postpones power. The second possesses it. Every repetition of gratitude is a hammer striking the old prison walls of doubt. The more you speak your decree, the weaker those walls become, until one day they collapse and you step freely into your new reality. The man who once begged life for mercy becomes the man to whom life gives without resistance. Understand this well. Identity is not built through intellect, but through impression. The subconscious does not reason. It accepts what is repeated with feeling. That is why persistence is essential. Each repetition writes a new line into your mental script. Each expression of gratitude deepens the conviction that your dream is already real. You may think of yourself as divided between two selves, the conditioned self, which lives by fear, and the chosen self, which lives by faith. The decree is the bridge between them. Each time you affirm your gratitude for what is already yours, You cross that bridge further. Eventually, the old self fades like a forgotten dream. You wake as the new man, unshakable, definite, radiant with belief. Others will notice the change before you do. They will sense something different in your tone, in your gaze, in the composure of your movements. The timid man they once knew now carries calm authority. His words ring with certainty. His laughter is deeper, his silence more commanding. That transformation is not illusion. It is the visible expression of a new identity. The moment you begin to speak gratitude as truth, the subconscious stops arguing and starts creating. It begins reorganizing your habits, guiding your attention, drawing to you the people and opportunities that match your new frequency. You may think coincidence is at work, but it is identity manifesting itself. Every change in fortune follows a change in self-concept. The pauper becomes rich the moment he believes himself worthy of riches. The sick man begins healing the moment he identifies with health. The lonely man attracts love when he becomes love within himself. Life has no choice but to reflect your inner verdict. The danger lies in contradiction. Many men affirm prosperity while speaking daily of struggle. They declare success while confessing fear. The subconscious receives mixed commands and delivers mixed results. The law of creation cannot operate in confusion. Therefore, let your words, your thoughts, and your emotions march in harmony. If you speak gratitude, think gratitude. If you affirm abundance, act abundantly. Do not talk of faith in 1 hour and complain of failure in the next. Every inconsistency resets the vibration. Speak only from your chosen identity and let silence cover the rest. There is no greater act of devotion than consistency of mind. Infinite intelligence honors those who hold a single vibration unwaveringly. When your inner and outer worlds agree, your decree becomes unstoppable. You will notice that effort decreases as results increase, struggle fades, replaced by flow. You no longer chase, you attract. The true miracle of this process is not that you receive what you want, it is that you become someone who cannot imagine living without faith. The man you were dissolves. In his place stands a being who no longer doubts, no longer waits, no longer seeks proof. His tone alone commands the cooperation of men and circumstance. This transformation is permanent because it is built upon gratitude. Fear can only live in the absence of thanksgiving. Gratitude declares abundance, and abundance annihilates fear. When you say, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now," you extinguish every vibration of lack. You affirm completeness. You tell infinite intelligence, "There is no delay, for I live in the finished work." As you continue, you will see your outer world change subtly at first, then swiftly. People will treat you differently, not out of obligation, but because your vibration demands it. They will see in you a reflection of the success they secretly desire. Opportunities will appear because your mind has become a magnet for their frequency. You will no longer seek validation. You will give it. Remember this truth. The world mirrors the image you hold of yourself. It is not cruel nor kind. It is accurate. Change the image, and the reflection must follow. Each repetition of the decree is a brushstroke painting the portrait of the new you. Persist until the canvas is complete. Think of a salesman who tells himself daily, "I am the greatest closer in my industry." At first he says it timidly, but repetition strengthens tone. Soon his clients sense his conviction before he speaks. They feel guided, not persuaded. His success becomes inevitable because his belief has become identity. Or consider Lincoln. Before leading a divided nation, he carried the identity of unity within himself. His faith in human goodness never wavered, even when the world around him fell into chaos. His identity as a man of peace transformed war into resolution. That is the power of inner image expressed through calm conviction. The moment you fully assume your new identity, opposition loses meaning. You no longer interpret difficulty as failure, but as confirmation of strength. The old you would have quit. The new you persists. The old you needed approval. The new you gives direction. Every test becomes training. Every challenge refines character. In this state, repetition becomes pleasure. You no longer repeat your decree to make it true. You repeat it because it is true. Each declaration of gratitude feels like breathing, effortless, necessary, alive. You are not asking. You are affirming your own being. You will know you have reached transformation when the words no longer feel external. When you say, "I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now," and your heart answers, "Of course I do." That is faith realized, and not belief in process, but certainty of possession. This is the meaning of spiritual rebirth. You are not becoming something different. You are remembering what you have always been, a creator in partnership with the infinite. Every decree, every repetition, every grateful thought strips away the illusion of limitation until only the truth remains, that you and the law are one. Repeat this affirmation often. I am the man I have decided to be. My every thought agrees with my purpose. I act from completion, not from lack. Let it remind you that you are not chasing dreams. You are embodying them. The decree is no longer a tool. It is your reflection. When others see your composure, your quiet certainty, your peace under pressure, they will wonder what changed. You may tell them the truth. I began speaking my gratitude until I became it. They will not understand immediately, for the world has forgotten the language of faith. But some will feel the vibration of your words, and their own transformation will begin. The final proof of this law is that once identity changes, results must follow. The poor man who truly believes himself rich cannot remain poor, for his decisions, associations, and opportunities will shift to match his new vibration. The weak who believe themselves strong begin to act boldly, and courage gathers allies. The fearful who identify with faith cease to attract calamity. Law always confirms identity. This is the great revelation. Your success is not something to pursue, but something to remember. It already exists within the mind of infinite intelligence, waiting for you to claim it through repetition, belief, and gratitude. When you speak your decree, you awaken that dormant image and call it into visible form. From this day, speak as the man who has arrived. Think as the one who no longer doubts. Walk as the one who knows he is favored by law. Let your tone, your bearing, and your silence declare mastery. You need no permission, no proof, no sign. Your word, spoken in faith, is the sign. When your mind fully accepts this truth, life can do nothing but follow. The mountains of difficulty dissolve because the man who spoke them into being has vanished. In his place stands a creator, calm, definite, grateful, and whole. So I say to you, repeat your decree until you forget that it was ever a phrase. Let it become the heartbeat of your identity. And when someone asks the secret of your transformation, you will smile and answer simply, I decided who I was and spoke it until the universe agreed. The spoken word is only the beginning. To decree is to plant. To act in faith is to cultivate. The law of completion demands harmony between belief and behavior. Once you have impressed the subconscious through repetition, gratitude, and faith, the proof of mastery must appear in conduct. The man who truly believes cannot remain idle. His every movement becomes an extension of his decree. To complete creation, one must live as if the work were already done. Acting as if is not deception. It is participation in the finished pattern. Infinite intelligence has already prepared the result the moment faith is declared. You are not working toward your goal. You are working from it. Every act performed in that awareness speeds its manifestation. Every doubt delays it. The universe has no room for contradiction. You cannot affirm abundance in speech and act from fear in behavior. You cannot say, I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now, and then spend the day complaining about lack. The law does not judge you by intention, but by vibration. When your actions match your words, your decree gains power. When they oppose each other, your vibration cancels itself. To live in faith is to walk as one who already possesses. You buy, plan, decide, and speak with the calm confidence of completion. You do not wait for opportunity. You prepare for it. You do not ask whether your goal is possible. You arrange your life around its certainty. The man who truly believes acts without anxiety because he knows law cannot fail. Faith in action is the highest proof of understanding. You may speak your decree 100 times a day, but if your conduct contradicts your confession, you remain divided. The subconscious receives mixed signals and manifests confusion. The complete man, however, lives in agreement with his command. His words, thoughts, and deeds form one current, moving in a single direction. This is what separates the dreamer from the doer. The dreamer waits for signs before acting. The doer acts as the sign. Faith without action is untested. Action without faith is aimless. But faith expressed through deliberate motion becomes irresistible. It transforms energy into momentum, momentum into results. Ford knew this law instinctively. When engineers told him that the 8-cylinder engine was impossible, he did not argue. He simply said, "Produce it." Those two words were not optimism, they were law in action. He moved as one who had already succeeded, and his certainty magnetized the intellect of others. Months later, his engineers stood astonished as the impossible became fact. The man of action guided by faith never hesitates. He may plan with care, but once decided, he moves without doubt. Hesitation is the offspring of fear. Decisiveness is the proof of belief. Every act of faith sends a message to infinite intelligence. I trust your law more than my eyes. And the law, sensing conviction, responds with precision. To act in harmony with your decree, you must become sensitive to intuition, that quiet guidance which rises from the subconscious once belief has taken root. Faith opens the inner ear. When you have repeated your decree with persistence, you will find that new ideas begin to appear effortlessly. You will wake with sudden clarity, or meet someone whose words answer a question you never spoke aloud. These are not accidents. They are instructions from infinite intelligence. When intuition speaks, obey it quickly. The man who delays converts inspiration into doubt. Every intuitive nudge is a divine signal aligned with your decree. By acting immediately, you prove your faith and keep vibration strong. Faith unexpressed weakens. Faith acted upon multiplies. Rockefeller practiced this principle. During financial storms that ruined competitors, he remained calm. When markets collapsed, he acted deliberately, buying while others sold, building while others feared. His composure was not arrogance, it was faith expressed in decision. He knew that panic destroys order, and order is the language of wealth. His quiet confidence turned crises into empires. Faith in action is not noise, it is quiet decisiveness. It is the ability to move forward without visible support, to persist when reason hesitates, to rest when others rush, and to trust when the outcome is unseen. The man of faith moves by rhythm, not reaction. He knows that infinite intelligence directs timing as precisely as gravity directs fall. The impatient mind tries to force results. It plants seeds and digs them up to see if they've sprouted. The faithful mind plants and waters with gratitude, knowing the law of gestation governs all creation. To rush the process is to distrust the law. The man who acts in faith moves with calm deliberation. He knows that everything is unfolding in perfect order. When you live by this principle, coincidence becomes daily companion. Opportunities arise where logic predicted none. The right person appears at the exact hour needed. Delay turns out to be protection. Obstacles reveal hidden instruction. To the unbelieving, this seems miraculous. To the man of faith, it is the natural result of vibration and law in perfect accord. Each time you act in alignment with your decree, you strengthen the structure of belief within you. The mind begins to trust itself. Confidence grows, and with it, the magnetic field that surrounds you. People sense it. They defer to your calm. They feel safer in your presence. They cannot explain why, but they obey your vibration as surely as iron obeys a magnet. Gratitude is the anchor that keeps action aligned with belief. When you feel grateful, hesitation vanishes. Gratitude is the assurance that what you desire already exists in the invisible. Each act done in gratitude carries the stamp of certainty. To thank before receiving is to seal the law of completion. The man who masters this principle walks with quiet joy even before success appears. He no longer asks when or how. He simply lives as one who has arrived. His speech becomes gentler, his eyes calmer, his laughter deeper. The vibration of gratitude releases the tension that once bound him. He is no longer climbing toward his dream. He is dwelling in it. Repetition continues even after results appear. Just as breathing sustains life, affirmation sustains vibration. The purpose of the decree is not only to attract, but to maintain order. The same law that creates must preserve. By continuing to speak gratitude after manifestation, you keep the channels of abundance open. To stop affirming is to stop expanding. Let your actions become living affirmations. Every gesture, every decision, every hour of labor should say, "Thank God I made it." Speak it when you rise and live it when you move. Gratitude is not a word. It is a way of walking. The man who lives gratefully walks as a king, for he knows that all things serve him in divine timing. When results seem delayed, maintain rhythm. Delay is never denial, it is refinement. The law is not testing you, it is aligning the details of manifestation. Each day that passes without visible change is a day that strengthens unseen roots. Faith in action refuses to panic when evidence is absent. The seed grows quietly before the bloom appears. If doubt tries to enter, respond with immediate action. Write another plan, take another step, speak another decree. Faith grows through motion. The still mind stagnates, the active mind expands. Every act of courage reaffirms the subconscious instruction that you are a creator, not a victim. Consider Lincoln again. When the war seemed endless and the nation's faith faltered, he continued to act with quiet certainty. "We shall finish the work we are in," he said, and he moved as though victory were inevitable. His calmness did not come from ignoring reality, but from understanding law. He knew that persistence guided by principle must prevail. Faith in action transforms every obstacle into opportunity. A closed door is merely redirection. A loss is only transition. The calm believer sees the hidden order behind apparent chaos. He acts not from reaction, but from revelation. His actions are deliberate, his emotions steady, his progress unstoppable. The outer world will soon adjust to mirror this inner alignment. Business will seem to flow, people will cooperate, solutions will appear. The law of correspondence ensures that the outer reflects the inner precisely. Once your thoughts, words, and deeds harmonize, reality must echo that harmony. To maintain this state, practice daily silence. 5 minutes of stillness allows infinite intelligence to renew your rhythm. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and repeat inwardly, I am grateful now, for it is done. Infinite intelligence fulfills my word. I live in the finished vision. Feel peace settle over you. This is the vibration of completion, calm certainty that needs no evidence. As faith matures, action becomes effortless. You will find yourself guided by intuition rather than obligation. What once required discipline becomes delight. You act with precision, yet without strain. You do not chase results. You allow them to unfold. The line between thought and manifestation grows thin until it disappears altogether. Others will marvel at your composure. They will ask how you remain calm while others hurry, how you prosper while others worry. You will smile and know that you are living by law, not by chance. They will call it talent, but it is alignment. They will call it fortune, but it is faith in motion. Let every man who hears these words remember, action is the outer evidence of inner belief. To proclaim faith without deed is to speak into the wind. The decree that transforms must be lived, not merely uttered. Speak your gratitude, yes, but also walk it, work it, and embody it. The man who does this carries creative power wherever he goes. Soon you will find that what once seemed effort becomes nature. The decree no longer feels like repetition, it feels like remembrance. You act from an invisible certainty that all things are already arranged in your favor. Fear will attempt to return, but it will find no room in a mind filled with completion. Faith in action produces peace under pressure. You will notice that problems no longer disturb you as they once did. Challenges become opportunities for demonstration. The calmness you maintain in adversity is the measure of your mastery. To be unmoved in uncertainty is to stand upon the foundation of divine order. When a man reaches this level, he lives as a law unto himself. His thoughts attract, his emotions heal, his actions command. He has entered the rhythm of infinite intelligence. Every breath, every step, every word carries authority. Others feel his presence and sense that he is guided by something beyond intellect, the unseen power of definite faith. This is the royal mind in motion. It does not shout, it simply knows. It does not rush, it arrives. It does not doubt, it declares. Such a man no longer seeks success. He radiates it. He does not pray for strength. He expresses it. His gratitude is constant because he recognizes himself as a channel of the infinite. When you reach this understanding, you realize that creation was never incomplete. Every decree, every act of gratitude, every motion of faith has already been recorded in the divine order. You are merely aligning with the finished pattern. The moment you believe completely, you stand in what already exists. Therefore, let the closing act of your day be gratitude in motion. Do not end your decree with words alone. Write one letter of thanks, help one soul, complete one task with excellence. Action sanctifies affirmation. The man who gives from faith multiplies his wealth, for he has become a vessel of circulation. When your days and your deeds are harmonized with your decree, you will wake each morning with the quiet joy of certainty. You will no longer question whether your dream will come true. You will only wonder how much greater the result will be than you imagined. Infinite intelligence always exceeds the size of man's request. Let this be your final affirmation. I am grateful now, for it is done. Infinite intelligence fulfills my word. I live in the finished vision. Say it when you rise. Say it when you labor. Say it when you rest. Let it remind you that all power flows from the mind that acts in gratitude. And when that day arrives, the day when your dream stands visible, when the impossible has yielded, remember to look back not with pride, but with reverence. You will see that it was not the world that changed first, but you. The words you spoke became the man you became, and the man you became shaped the world around him. So stand today as creator, not beggar. Speak your decree, live your gratitude, and move as one who has already arrived. The law of completion will meet you halfway and carry you the rest. And one morning, perhaps without realizing it, you will whisper the words with calm delight. I'm so happy and grateful that I have it now. Thank God I made it. That is the moment when faith becomes fact, when word becomes world, and when man becomes master of his destiny.